Good luck with it.
Well,
his choice. Oh gosh, that's
thank you.
Leave it there. Where's the one over there?
Yes.
Did you think, on the right comment? Yes. Did you think my last comment was funny? About the sausage?
Good turnout there, who's going to play?
What?
I think we need a bigger flag for our flagpole, don't I?
I think so.
I mean, the flag looks all right down at Dover on their little 25 little flagpole. On a proper flagpole.
I thought
It was lost. Well, yeah, it was empty, didn't it? It was about 4 times larger.
Did we manage to get right up to the topic later on?
Yes,
Yes,
and it
Because
was
it looked almost like half past.
tangled up, didn't it? Oh, God, it was, yeah. But
Yeah.
it's like our flag, our beautiful flag. It's big, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to be big for Sam, you've got to be flagpole.
White House.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, we're just going to start in a couple of seconds.
Did you make it 7?
It's 4 minutes to. Well, listen. Ah, thanks, Peter.
Peter?
Hello.
Thank you very much, mate.
Your one's not there, it's just gone like this. Thank you.
Vicky. Here we go. Okay. Good evening, councillors. Welcome to the ordinary meeting of the council, 23rd of June 2025. We've got a bit of a full fat agenda, so if we can keep focused to comments and keep it sharp, and we'll get out before it's dark, hopefully. And if anybody feels the heat too much, do not be afraid about getting up and going out somewhere else that's just as warm, I suppose, but if you need to, please excuse yourself. So, if I can first of all go through my opening remarks. And what I want to do is focus on the meeting that myself and the town clerk had with the leader of DDC last Friday, Councillor Kevin Mills. So then that will be the majority of what I want to cover, with a couple of tail end bits at the end. So we covered a number of topics, which I'll quickly run through. And one of the key points to make is that Kevin did offer to meet on a regular basis. So I obviously took that up, and we're going to be meeting hopefully every 3 or 4 weeks for similar discussions in the future. So the first and main topic that we discussed was the local government reorganisation. And having been to a CALC EGM on the previous day, I found out or realised what's happening to us is not devolution. It's a local government reorganisation, so there are actually 2 strands to this. The devolution is very much about the mayor being installed, so don't be fooled if you say local government reorganisation being mentioned. That's the stuff that's going to impact around assets, etc. So we talked about the potential for transferring assets from DDC to STC. And we also touched on the importance of the Jubilee Centre to the residents of Sandwich, which Kevin agreed. He was certainly willing to hold a discussion on the transfer of assets and offered to set up a meeting with the relevant officers in DDC once we have agreed our proposal. How we do that, we're going to be covering at the Finance and General Purposes Committee meeting this Wednesday. Linked to this, Calc have issued a survey to parish councils on the reorganisation. The town clerk will be sending this out to councillors to invite their comments back that can then be discussed at FNGP to formulate a response. So that will be coming out via email. So in terms of the detail of the discussion on the reorganisation, I will present that to the FNGP on Wednesday. But not surprising, some of the themes that we've already picked up on, like things that are revenue streams for DDC are highly unlikely to be passed downwards. There is no expectation at the moment in terms of money coming with any assets that we take. So if we take any assets, we have to work out how we're going to make it affordable to us. But in terms of the specifics, and I know that Councillor Ungerson for Jubilee Centre will be at the FNGP on Wednesday, so I'll go into the detail then. Okay. We discussed a parking strategy and the proposal to increase the fees for parking in Sandwich. Kevin said that he didn't want to rush this and that the DDC Cabinet will take its time to reconsider the strategy. I have a request already lodged to meet with the relevant portfolio holder, which is Councillor Lynn Wright, and that will happen before the strategy is discussed at the Cabinet. We talked about the Fellowship Walk and the lines. No significant developments to report, except that DDC Planning continued to have discussions with the owner of the lines on his plans to renovate the property. We discussed the wooden bridge along the mill wall, and Kevin agreed to check the status of the works required. He understands why we were unable to contribute to the cost of replacing the bridge, which led to a broader conversation we had, an explanation from ourselves about how the town council's finances and those of the STBF are organised. I think this helps to myth bust some of the perceptions that he and maybe other colleagues have in DDC about Sandwich being cash rich. The final topic was the recent flooding, which I've also exchanged messages with Councillor Evans on, and hopefully I'll get a chance to speak to him about that at the end. Just one specific item we discussed, there was a DDC tenant living in Sandwich who had been flooded overnight because of the storm, and she had mentioned that she hadn't had a meaningful response from DDC, and fair dues to Kevin, he said he would see what he could do, and within 2 hours that person had a visit from a housing officer and a housing inspector, and a lot of things I believe are now in train to help that person. And then just a couple of final things to move on before we go into the main agenda. I want to thank the town clerk and her team for making the Great Big Green Week such a success. Particular shout out to Lindsay for all the work she did on that, and to those councillors who got involved. Councillor Fortescue certainly played his part with his litter picker. I spotted him in town. And today's raising of the flag for the Armed Forces Day also went really well, and I think a lot of that was down to the organisation internally in terms of making it run smoothly. This Sunday, sees the return of Little Gardens of Sandwich. I'll be attending to open the event, but it's a great opportunity for us all to take a peek behind the walls of some of the properties in our town and to have a walk around the lovely gardens. Having been to the Rectory Gardens this weekend for the first time, it's an amazing garden. I was very surprised, but speaking to Father Sebastian, he and Reese have put a lot of effort into it over the last year or so. Okay, that's it in terms of the introductions from me. Do we have any apologies from any councillors?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we have Councillor Paul Carter will be late due to a personal commitment.
Thank you very much. On to agenda item 3, declarations of interest. To receive any declarations of disclosable pecuniary interest from members in respect of business to be transacted on the agenda. Does anybody? Councillor?
Item 20.
Yeah.
As a trustee of the Sandwich Heritage Harbour Trust, I have declare interest in that item.
Thank you very much, Councillor Gray.
And Councillor Franklin.
Well, and Councillor Franklin, of course, as well. Councillor Morehouse.
Yeah, item 13, Mr. Mayor, as chair of the Sandwich Community Events Association. I will remain within the meeting. I will not vote. I will only comment if I feel there's something pertinent that I can add to the vote.
Thank you very much. Councillor Berry.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have three. I'm a busy boy at the moment. So item number 5, payments. We've got a payment schedule. I won't be voting on that one. Item 11, I'm the named councillor on that item on the agenda, so I won't be voting or speaking on that one. Item 13, same as Councillor Morehouse, I'm the Sandwich Town Council representative for the Lights Committee. I will be speaking, as Councillor Morehouse just said, but I won't be voting on the item.
Thank you very much.
I've got to say the same again for item 13 with regard to the Christmas lights.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. That's it. Okay, moving on to agenda item 4, minutes of the full council meeting and committees. The first one is to approve the minutes of the ordinary meeting of STC held on the 2nd of June 2025 and to consider any matters arising from those minutes not covered elsewhere in the agenda. Does anybody have any comments on those minutes? And if not, would somebody be happy to propose them? Councillor Hunter, have you a comment?
Yeah, I've got comments on STC 0625.12 on the Human Resources, on the heading Human Resources Committee membership. Here I have here said, I just want to ask a question. How was the committee member were chosen? Have any of the committee member have professional qualification? And have anybody have line management in the HR? I'll just ask a question.
Right, so there are 3 questions there.
Yes.
So it was done in the same way with all the other committees.
Yeah.
So open house for people to have their names put forward as happened.
Yes.
And then a vote was undertaken, if I recall rightly.
Yes.
And those with the high scores were chosen, so that was a committee vote.
Okay, yes.
In terms of experience, well,
Yes.
I know a number of people had the opportunity to hand in their, what should we call it, CV? It wasn't
Yeah,
CV, but a
little-
list of things.
Yes. that's
And
right.
that was all, I assume, taken into account by all those that voted in the meeting, and we ended up with those that we ended up with. And
Right.
professional qualifications in what sense?
HR, pure personal management.
Okay,
Do you have any? I'm just interested, committee member who has any.
Councillor Black.
Yes, I was a member of the CIPD before I retired, and I was a fellow.
Oh. So have you done any management, anybody got management, line manager for
I
that
think in
position?
terms, so we probably don't need to get down to that
No,
granularity of
just
detail,
sort of
but in
asking
terms of the members, I
Yeah,
believe the vast majority do have line management, and some of us have extensive line management and extensive recruitment
because, yeah, that's why,
expertise.
because part of my reason I ask this question is just because we've got 2 quite major
We have.
roads to recruit, that's
We
why.
have,
Okay,
yes.
I'll finish
Yeah,
with
I
that.
think Councillor Franklin.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe I was present at that meeting.
Yes, you were.
Further in the minutes, but it's not on the.
That was the STC meeting, yes?
Yeah.
STC.
Second June Walker.
Make sure you're added.
That's all. It's funny, didn't it? That's not there.
Okay,
Yes.
so is that satisfactory?
That's, yeah, yes.
Thank you very much. Somebody happy to propose those minutes? Councillor Morehouse and Councillor Breen to second, and a vote. And Breen.
I was in a
Yes,
meeting.
that's right. 1 abstention.
One
Yeah.
abstention. Thank you very much.
Oh, 2,
That's
thank you.
Second one, which is attachment 2 in the pack, to receive the minutes of the planning committee meeting held on the 19th of May. Any comments? If not, somebody have to propose. Councillor Franklin's proposing. Councillor Barnes is seconding, and we'll go to vote on that. Green from me.
2 abstentions.
Two abstentions. 3 abstentions.
Or is it 3? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at DDC.
Thank you. 3.
Thank you very much. To receive the minutes of the Finance and General Purposes Committee meeting held on the 28th of May. Any comments? Proposer? Councillor Breen? Seconder? Thank you, Councillor Atkinson. And the vote? Breen.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 abstentions.
Mhm. The next one is to receive the minutes of the Human Resources Committee meeting held on the 28th of April 2025. Any comments?
24.
Oh, it's 28. Is it on the 28th or 24th?
24.
Oh, sorry, that's a typo.
Okay, so 24th.
Yeah, 24th.
Okay. Any comments?
Could I move a comment? I
Yes,
need to stand up, I've forgotten.
Yeah.
From the, maybe it's not to do with the minutes, I want to mention the HR committee minutes on the 28th of April. It's not actually here, but it was agreed to make the property manager permanent. Has this happened? If not, why?
Yes, it happened at last meeting.
It had, okay, that's all.
Okay, somebody have to propose those? Councillor Black, seconding Councillor, maybe Franklin, but I'm not sure, he's halfway.
I've abstained.
You're
Oh,
abstaining.
sorry.
Anybody happy to? I'll second them.
Thank you.
And the votes? I'm green again.
How many abstentions? 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 abstentions. Thank you.
Okay, and finally, to receive the minutes of the Monkswell Nature Reserve Committee meeting held on the 3rd of March 2025. If there's no comments, Councillor Franklin, proposing them. And seconding Councillor Mallet. And the vote? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7
7
abstentions.
abstentions. Thank you.
Thank you. So moving on to agenda item 5, and that's attachment 6 in the pack, payment schedules. These were presented to F&GP on the 18th of June as a reference point. So first of all, to receive and note the payments for mid-June. Those payments which are not supported by a minute reference have been authorised by officers with delegated powers of expenditure. Does anybody have any comments on the payments for mid-June? No. Somebody happy to?
Have we discussed in the payment for the agency people? Does this come under this bit?
It is.
If there's an agency payment in there, then you can query it.
Yeah, it's just the amount.
Yeah.
It's been £7,000 for 1 month. I think it's about time we had to have a recruitment. We should have had a caretaker by now. It's ridiculous, 6 months and we've still not got the
That's a okay. Councillor Franklin, that's a reasonable comment, and we must take that away.
It's a lot of money in
That's in
12 months, isn't it? It's not budgeted for.
Yeah. We have asked for an analysis in terms of the cost versus the previous caretaker costs. But I think we need to take it into the HR committee, Councillor Wiles. Yeah. Councillor Green.
Sorry, to just say that £7,000 relates to the RFO. It's not actually clear how many weeks, it just says a month.
Yeah.
So it's not the caretaker, it's for the RFO.
Tomorrow's HR committee, there will be a wider discussion about the staffing.
Yeah, I think it's just for the whole agency, I believe. It's not just the RFO, because I think the caretaker and the other chap is as well.
Thank you.
It's really one.
Taking account of that and the fact that we will be discussing that, is somebody happy to propose those minutes? The payment schedules. Councillor Breen, seconding. Councillor Black, and let's go to a vote. That's one abstention.
Yeah, 1 abstention.
The second one is to confirm nomination of 2 signatories to authorise end of June payment schedules on Bankline. So we have a problem at the moment with Bankline, don't we? In terms, so who has got a working card and is available is the I suppose the criteria now. Who have we got left?
I think Councillor Paul Carter.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I have a card. It's in a moving box somewhere in my new flat, so I have to have a look for it. The other thing is I haven't used it for over a year, so the card might be expired by now, so I'll have to check and get back to you by email.
So I'd like an action to the interim finance officer in terms of reviewing, going out to each of those people who are named, because not everyone is available and has been using it. So I think we need to make sure we've actually got enough people who are available and have a working card. I don't have a working card. It collapsed last time. I think Councillor Wiles in the same situation.
Mine works, but it's a very annoying system.
Okay. I'd just like to say, I think there should be 2 permanent, always doing it, because if you just do it every other month, that's what mine, I haven't done it for 2 months, and it always wants to change the password, then it times out. And when we had the RFO, she could get onto Bankline and she could get an email, to be mobile phone. But the chap we've got at the moment, it just didn't work.
Yeah.
And it's a time sensitive thing as well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
So,
I think I'd like to recommend there's two permanent, then do it regular.
yeah, so if we
We're
get
not
the
able to-
interim finance officer to write out to all those who've got a card, if anybody's willing to put themselves forward as permanent,
Mhm.
and then we can have that pool, if it's just the two, that we do need 2 each month as a minimum, and
Yeah,
then the others can be back up.
that's right, yeah.
So can I suggest that Councillor Paul Carter was nominated for this payment and Councillor Wiles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that?
And
And
then-
I'm happy to put myself forward for
Thank you.
training and
Thank
getting
you.
a card
Yeah.
and to be a permanent member.
It only took me 15 months to get set up, but hey,
Yeah, it's very time consuming.
it's
Process.
And then similarly for the nominations of 2 signatories to authorise mid-July payment schedules, could I propose it's the same 2 people? Yep. Yeah, Councillor Wiles is nodding, just.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So, if you could vote on that, please.
Can we vote on that?
One abstention. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public participation, 20-minute session set aside for members of the public to make representations at the meeting in respect to the business on the agenda and other matters if time permits. Do we have any requests?
No requests.
Verbal report from our Dover District Councillor on matters relating to Sandwich. Councillor Moorhouse, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very quickly. 57 New Street, first of all. At the last planning committee meeting, it was agreed that I'd go away and contact Claire Dethier, who had indicated at a presentation that I went to on the 26th of February with regard to Archer's Low, she was willing to set up a meeting. So I'm waiting for her to come back to me because I've asked if the portfolio holder be involved in that meeting as well. Secondly, disabled access to the co-op via Winsborough Road, Moat Sol, where the parking, the keep clear sign is very much faded and it's being abused, vehicles are parking on there. And a disabled resident of Sandwich contacted me to say that he was having difficulty accessing the co-op. I'm pleased to say that has been referred to the relevant department and will be looked into. Still waiting for a answer on the two doctors' spaces. The junction between the butchery and Harnett Street, adjacent to Breezy Corner.
Yeah.
I was alerted this previous weekend that there's been a fly-tipping incident adjacent to New Street Dental Practice, which I'm looking into. I've contacted Parks and Open Spaces about weeds on the quay. It was quite an appalling state. We had the food fair on Saturday, along with several boats along the quay, and the weeds that were dealing with. Quite appalling. In addition to that, if anyone uses the footpath that links Stone Cross to the St Crispin Inn or Worth, the first section, between the Deal Road and where you can see the pine trees, that is extremely overgrown, and I can understand the no mow may agenda or initiative, whatever you want to call it, but we're now nearing the end of June, so it's time that was cut back. And lastly, with regard to planning application 25/00500, which is a photocopy basically of planning application 22/01341, and that is land adjacent to St George's Road. Again, helping the resident with the writing this application.
Thank you, Councillor Moorhouse. Any questions of Councillor Moorhouse at all? No. Thank you. Councillor Evans, thank you for coming here this evening. You can either talk from there or up here, it's whatever you prefer. Thank you.
As you probably know, I've been on holiday virtually the whole
Yes.
time since the last meeting. Okay. Reference to the flooding.
Yeah.
I had an email from someone called Malcolm Moss,
Yes.
and he took pictures of trains after they'd been cleaned, because KCC sent out contractors to clean the drains, and the pictures he sent me are embarrassing. So I've sent all that off to KCC. I want it investigated straight away. We're taxpayers are paying for the drains to be cleaned and they're blatantly not being cleaned. I'll forward you on the email I sent after this. But that is my thing. Councillor Morehouse, you sent me a brilliant email this morning that had a picture in it, which I think is probably the best picture that describes that bus stand, and a picture of an ambulance not being able to get through with the bus. So now you sent me that picture. Now I'm back authority, I'll take that up as a matter of privacy, okay? And I'll copy you in on all of the emails that I'll get back, okay? A few more little things come up when I was away. Sandwood Road's got gas problems. It's got road works for 11 days from the 20th, so that's nearly done now. Something you might not, none of you be aware of, but it definitely affects you in Sandwich. South East and the Network Rail have now gone into one, so they're part of what is going to be the new nationalised railways, called Great British Railways. So if you're on a train and you go and your train's in Ashford and you're late, they should now be holding the trains because they're the same company and they won't get fined. Okay. That is basically it. One other little thing I advise you will avoid deal. I know it's not your area, but there's roadworks everywhere now coming up. So apart from that, that is my report. Okay.
Thank you. So could I just pick up on the drains? So it's not potholes this time, it's drains.
Yes.
So I got heavily involved on the Saturday, the day after. I visited a number of residents.
Yeah.
There are some hot spots, and I dropped you an email to that effect. I know we're going to have a walk around.
Yeah.
If we can drop in a few drains within that walk around, it would be really helpful because there are some that haven't been cleared for years.
Yeah.
And the consequences, some people's houses were actually flooded as a result of, certainly the drains were a significant contributor, whilst it was extreme.
I've had emails from Ash, Minster.
Yeah, I'm sure you have.
I think they're about 2 inches of rain in virtually a couple of hours.
It was horrendous. It was horrendous.
I wasn't there, I didn't see it on my back garden, unfortunately. But no, I'll email you, we'll have that walk around the next week or two.
Yeah,
and we'll get on.
And we'll look at the bus stop as well.
And bus stop, yeah.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, Councillor Lyons?
Yeah, if I can expand upon the ambulance. At the weekend, the event, one of the stewards clocked an ambulance being stuck. Now, it wasn't an emergency call out, but if there had been, it's critical moments.
Yeah.
And on the subject of ambulances and your comment about Network Rail in South East, I witnessed 3 weeks ago an ambulance being stuck at the New Street level crossing. Now, at 5 to 8, a train comes from Deal going towards Ramsgate by Sandwich. The journey time between Deal and Sandwich is around about 6 minutes, I believe. It's evident to me that the gates are going down around 2 minutes after the train has left Deal. And then when the train eventually gets to Sandwich, there's a huge amount of school children disembarking the train, and it's causing horrendous horrors. And there was a scene 3 weeks ago where an ambulance, which was on Blues, was stuck there for at least 5 minutes.
Okay. I'll get on to Network Rail about that. I know it's probably long. I did actually used to work for them for quite a long time, so I do know quite a lot of people, so I will try and take that for you. Okay.
Happy to take a question from Councillor Black. Councillor Evans, you happy to take a question from Councillor Black?
Councillor, you may not know, we had a situation about a year ago where all 4 level crossings here failed. The 2 automatic ones, 2 Network Rail are persistently not responding to us. We asked them to a meeting, they're not coming. I think part of the problem, Councillor Morehouse, is the track circuitry, because they've got to, it depends how far back the track circuits go towards Deal, and I think it's a very long section, and to make sure the protective signal comes off at the station, he's got to have the barriers down a lot earlier. Like yourself, I also worked for the railway for a long time, and the problems with the track circuitry, we really need to redouble our efforts to get them here. I think they're taking the Michael. The excuse last time was, oh, we're going to be so busy with this merger. Fine. I am a railman and I know what you've got to talk about. They're not doing it, so I will pursue it again with the Heritage and Townscape Committee as well.
And I'll pursue it as well. I used to be a manager Victoria Station in London, funny enough, so I was quite high up, so
Right,
I will be pursuing it.
right. And you know what I mean by the track circuit, you promise?
Yeah, I know, yeah, it's quite a big block section, I know.
A big block section.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one more question, if that's okay, from Councillor Franklin.
Yeah, thank you. I think the problem is the Liverpool Crossing is so close to the station. I mean, I've been at Warman, the trains overshot the station. So that if the trains overshoot that station and the road's open, catastrophe. I think that's why they always make sure the gates are down before the train gets to the station.
Yeah.
It's just a safety issue. And it's been like that for years. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things. Otherwise, if you try and have the train stop and then do the gates, if anything goes wrong,
Yeah.
it would be murder, wouldn't it? So I think it's just a safety issue because it's so close together. Thank you.
Thank you. Stay as long as you want.
Yeah.
We've got a fair bit of business still to get through.
Thank
you. So, agenda item 9, report from our local police representative. I can see that our police officer isn't here.
No,
Have we had any updates?
I haven't, no. She may be on annual leave, I know that she did have a period of annual leave coming up.
Yes, she was, and she returned because I exchanged emails with her at the end of last week. She returned, so
Okay,
she might need a reminder regarding dates.
I sent a reminder today about something else.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, can I just make a comment on
Yeah.
that? Sorry, apologies. So, I understand that our PC for Sandwich is quite busy. She has to cover a lot of area. However, in the recent months, we've seen a really big decline of police presence within the town. And obviously, we don't have our community warden anymore. However, he does work out of Eastleigh Rural, but he does pop into Sandwich to help with the snatch pantry, etc. So it would be hopefully an idea for the police council to see that what's going on. Will we have our PC, don't we? Because I've not seen her for quite a few number of weeks now.
Okay, we will follow that up. I think there might be a question at a higher level because, if I recall rightly, we should have got a second police officer allocated to Sandwich. That certainly was touted by our PCC as part of the pre-election pledge, but thank you very much. Agenda item 10, update from councillors. So I'll just cover a couple of things myself first before opening up to the floor. So the highlight for myself over the past few weeks, and I was accompanied by a number of councillors, was a visit to Brightlingsea. I think we hit a perfect spot in terms of weather and driving. And thanks to Councillor Marie for acting as our driver and a very accomplished mace bearer as well. So it was a great event. So for any of those that are interested, when Brightlingsea comes along again next year, whoever's the mayor at the time might open up the offer again, because actually I think it was actually a really good opportunity for 4 of us to go together and experience it collectively. So yeah, good. It's really good. Let's skip that one. What else have we got? Yes, a CALC meeting last Thursday, which I'll leave out probably to Councillor Black to maybe talk about if you were going to.
Well, I can.
Yeah, that's fine. But it was around the devolution and the local government organisation. Linked to that, myself and the town clerk attended the meeting with the mayors of Deal and Dover Town 2 weeks ago to discuss how we might coordinate effort to engage with DDC. But I think that shouldn't stymie us from brigading our own thoughts and presenting our own arguments. If they want to run parallel with us, that would be great. But if not, we'll push on with ours. And I think that's it from me. So opening up to the floor. Councillor Mallett first, and then Councillor Marie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Ripley and myself went to speak to gentleman Terence Dorber, who represents Ainsley Court, with regard to the long-running ramp. That's alliteration almost, isn't it? The situation. And we had a very, very positive discussion with Mr. Dorber, and we have agreed to progress this as far as we can to the point of having, knowing that we can get designs, knowing that we have builders, knowing an awful lot more to the point where we can come to hopefully the council and say, this, we've ticked all these boxes, we know we can do it, this is the budget, let's have some money. but we have just started on that journey. So there is an awful lot more to do, but it is ongoing.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Councillor Marie?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just before I quickly go through my stuff, I just want to, for brightness here, I just want to thank you for the invite and the opportunity to be your escort for the day. It was an insight for me as well for the town sergeant role, and it's been pushing me even more to get one where we do eventually, because we've got a lot to do with the HR committee. And also thank you for the invite, because we've not had that before for councillors to attend certain things. And also, I'll be joining you on Sunday for the Armed Forces Day stuff in Deal. Go back to it just briefly. Folk and Owl Festival. Folk and Owl Festival is in 2 weeks' time, with the first programme given to you, Mr. Mayor, last week. Only 300 programmes have been made this year, so they are limited edition. They are fantastic for quality. They are looking good, and there's a few rather nice gentlemen that are in the photos, myself included. And I think Mr. Mayor as well. There will be a merchandise stall on the Thursday and Saturday markets leading up to the festival in 2 weeks' time, selling merchandise from T-shirts to upcycled T-shirts made into tote bags and drawstring bags, and also pin badges. You can get a deal for all of the merchandise for £20. Just to point out for the public, if they're listening to this on the cameras, the road closures in place for that weekend will be Market Street, King Street, No Name Street and Delft Street from 8 AM to 8 PM or for both Saturday and Sunday, with parking suspensions for all people, including disabled parking in Market Street, King Street and Delft Street. Please don't park there after the times that I've just given, because you will be given a parking ticket if you're parked there. Apart from that, Neighbourhood Watch, still no report from Neighbourhood Watch Group. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Marie. Councillor Rippon?
Yes, three things. I went on the Sandwich and Bloom trip to Wisley, RHS Wisley, which was just fabulous. So that was a really good trip. Hopefully we can do that again. Brightling Sea, that was really enjoyable and very, very well worth going to. The other thing I want to mention is Heritage Open Days. We've got, I think it is 14 places now signed up, including the Longhouse, Thomas Paine's house, and the Chantry. Also, the Medieval Centre is on board, but they're doing it as a separate entity. However, we are linking up with them to do various things, so it's all as one. What I really want to say is, please can we have some volunteers for that weekend? Because I know Councillor Morehouse is signed up to that.
What weekend is that?
It's the weekend of September the 13th and the 14th. So if anybody feels that they can spare some time, either of those days or both days, if you could let me know, please, and that would be very handy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know you're putting a lot of effort into the Heritage Open Day, so I'm sure it'll be a success. Councillor Black.
Thank you. First of all, I wasn't able to attend, but I know Councillor Ripley was able to attend with the chair of the Tourism Forum to Dover Docks for the cruise. I got a report today from the chair of the tourism. There are a number of coaches now starting to come to Sandwich when cruise liners dock. We are trying to get one of their managers of the coach companies to come round with Richard and myself to have a look around Sandwich to see what we can do, and then also see what better communications we can have with shops and catering establishments. They really want to go to the Medieval Centre. That seems to be a key driver. But they're pleased to see that all of our brochures and so on are up to date there. So that's the report I had from the chairman. Following up on what the mayor said, the extraordinary general meeting of Calc, there were about 200 attendees there. The room was full. Part of the problem seems to be, from the speakers, is that the government seems to come up with a slightly varied plan every week. It seems to change all the time. Some of it may be subtle, but some of it's quite significant. It would appear that the devil is in the detail, and the detail hasn't been thought through. There was a lot of criticism about parishes and town councils being completely neglected by the documentation, and others have commented upon that. There was a lot of stick given about that. I think they were trying to say that Westminster is beginning to wake up to the fact that we'll end up with a democratic deficit unless we do something better. But it hasn't been resolved yet. And no disrespect to our KCC councillor, there was some concern that they're still not very sure at district level and other levels that just how KCC will be approaching this. I know we indicated before that you weren't, as a council, particularly happy about many of the proposals, but unfortunately, time is marching on. It would be very helpful if that was able to come to the fore, but I'm sure many other councils have mentioned the same thing to you and to your colleagues. There was virtually no discussion on, so far there's been no information as to how the massive debts from Kent County Council will be shared amongst the unitary authorities. And that could be a big problem as to whether that's handled. It's about 800 million at the moment, which is pretty substantial. And of course that's accumulated over the years. Now, the other big debate was how many unitary authorities should there be in Kent. I think some of the western districts were trying to say, oh no, we only need 3. But as Kevin Mills said, we're going to have sort of North Kent, West Kent, and Poor Kent, which is us. So there's still a lot of pushback. We should have 4. But all this is undecided and really probably won't be very clear until, is it November?
So 28th of November is the deadline for the submissions to go in.
Yeah.
And they were expecting a small number, so not individual submissions from each district.
Not 14 submissions. So it's still a great debate as to whether it's 3 unitary authorities or 4 or something else. But certainly a lot of emphasis has been, if you go for the 3, then this part of Kent really is left in the lurch. And with all the additional costs of things like unaccompanied minors coming ashore and everything else, there are far greater problems than, say, in places of West Kent. I'm sure KCC are very well aware of that as well. So that was the tenor of the meeting. I think that we're going to have another raise it at the AGM, which I think is in October. The count, and useful if you can get any tickets. I don't know quite where we are on that, but certainly the mayor went and I went, and we're finding representatives from absolutely everywhere. It was extremely useful, and they didn't pull their punches.
Thank you. Councillor Franklin.
We've got these beautiful hanging baskets now, which the Savage and Bloom have done. But I think we should just send a thank you, because I think it's only 2 ladies that actually went down Archer's Road and did them all. So I think, because I've never seen them looking so magnificent. I think that's a wonderful sight.
Thank you for that. Councillor Ripley and then Councillor Moorhouse.
Yeah, just very briefly, sorry, I forgot to mention the Saturday markets. Excuse me, the tourist information store there, which some of you have come along and helped on. Sorry. But if anybody has a spare hour to spend on Saturday, I think that would be great.
Thank you. Councillor Moorhouse.
Yeah, very briefly. And so feedback from the stewards at the weekend. We wanted to thank you for the time you took to go around and speak to them. It was very much appreciated. And the Sandwich Hopper Twin Association AGM is on Thursday the 17th of July. So yourself and any other councillors are very welcome to attend that.
Thank you. Okay, well done. Thanks a lot. Moving on to agenda item 11, which is attachment 7. We do have a vacancy on the F&GP committee, and Councillor Marie has put his name forward to be considered for it. I'd like to propose on the basis that he should be elected to fill the space. It's better to have someone who's willing rather than the pressed man. So I'd like to propose he does join. Councillor Ripley seconding. Let's go to a vote on that. It's unanimous.
Yep.
Thank you very much. One raise, sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Agenda item 12, Finance and Annual Governance Annual Return 2024-25. So these are the important governance activities for the council. A number of items that relate to the annual governance return for that period. Items 4 to 7 are set out in a specific order prescribed by the external auditor. But if we can go through each of them, and we should go through each of them, shall we?
Yes,
Do we need
please.
to vote on each of them?
Yes, please.
Okay, so number one, to receive and note the Sandwich Town Council Bank Reconciliation Statement as of the 31st of March 2025, income and expenditure, budget and petty cash. Somebody have to propose those? Councillor Franklin and Councillor Green seconding, and a vote. That is unanimous.
Unanimous.
Okay. Number two, as per the financial regulations, please consider and reconfirm that staff salary payments should continue to be made by BACS. I'm happy to propose that. Pick a choice in terms of seconding. Councillor Marie.
Councillor Marie, thank you.
Who's highest? And vote, yes. That's unanimous as well, thank you. Number three, as per the financial regulations, please consider and reconfirm that payment by variable direct debits is acceptable in relation to payments for electricity, gas, water, internet, broadband, phone charges, HR and photocopier contracts.
Proposed. Second.
Councillor Dean Marie proposed. Councillor Morehouse second.
Voting on those. Unanimous, yep. Right, the longer one. To consider the findings of the review of the effectiveness of the system of internal controls, page 3 of the annual governance and accountability return for the year ended 31st of March 2025, and a mid-year and year-end audit reports from the internal auditor. Statement of internal control to be read by the town clerk and council asked to approve.
Thank you. Thank you first. Okay. So, Sandwich Town Council's Statement of Internal Control for the year ending 31st of March 2025. Scope of responsibility. Sandwich Town Council, the council, is responsible for ensuring that its business is conducted in accordance with the law and proper standards, and that public money is safeguarded and properly accounted for and used economically, efficiently and effectively. In discharging this overall responsibility, the council is also responsible for ensuring that there is a sound system of internal control, including the preparation of the accounting statements as required by section 1 of the annual return, the annual governance statement and its 9 assertions. It provides details of the methodology by which the council affords itself protection in the day-to-day operation of its accounting procedures. The purpose of the system of internal control is designed to manage risk to a reasonable level rather to eliminate all risk of failure to achieve policies, aims and objectives. It can therefore only provide reasonable and not absolute assurance of effectiveness. The system of internal control is based on an ongoing process designed to identify and prioritise the risks to the achievement of the council's policies, aims and objectives, to evaluate the likelihood of those risks being realised and the impact should they be realised, and to manage them efficiently, effectively and economically. The council has in place a set of standing orders and financial regulations which set out the general rules applicable at council and committee meetings and in carrying out the council's business. These two documents are reviewed on a regular basis, at least annually, and influence the system of internal controls in place. The system of internal control has been in place at the council for the year ending 31st March 2025 and up to date with the approval of the annual governance statement and accounts, and except for the details of significant internal control issues at section 5, accords with proper practice. The internal control environment. The council has appointed a chair, our mayor, who is responsible for the smooth running of meetings, and a town clerk for ensuring that all council decisions are lawful. The council reviews its obligations and objectives and approved budgets for the following year at its November meeting, and the January 2025 extraordinary meeting of the council approved the level of the precept for the following fiscal year 2025-2026. The full council meets a minimum of 8 times each year and monitors progress against its aims and objectives at each meeting by receiving relevant reports from the town clerk, RFO and property manager. The council carries out regular reviews of its internal controls, systems and procedures. The council has appointed a town clerk to the council who acts as the council's advisor and proper officer. The council has appointed a responsible financial officer who is responsible for administering the council's finances. The clerk is responsible for the day-to-day compliance with laws and regulations that the council is subject to and for managing risks. The clerk also ensures that the council's procedures, control systems and policies are adhered to. All payments are reported to the council for approval, and 2 members of the council must authorise every cheque and online payment, and the direct debit arrangements are reviewed annually. All income is received and banked in the council's name in a timely manner and reported to the council at the next meeting. The council is responsible for establishing and monitoring the achievements of its objectives, the facilitation of policy and decision making, ensuring compliance with established policies, procedures, laws and regulations. The council has overall responsibility for the management of risk. The council, including all committees, town clerk, RFO and other staff, all contribute to the identification and management of risk. Any identified weaknesses in this area are addressed and actioned by the council. Through its standing orders, financial regulations and terms of reference, the council uses delegated authority to the town clerk for self-audit mechanisms and controls to ensure the best value and financial propriety are achieved. All committees and council receive regular and up-to-date reports on financial activities under their direction. Performance is regularly monitored against financial and operational budgets. The council carries out regular risk assessments, identifying risks, assessing risks, addressing risks, and reviewing and reporting these risks in a risk register. Key staff are trained in health and safety, first aid, and general risk management. The council has an internal auditor in accordance with its financial regulations and is responsible for ensuring that that person appointed meets the competency and independence requirements. For the fiscal year 24-25, this is Mulberry and Company who reports to the council on the adequacy of its records, procedures, systems, internal control, regulations, risk management reviews. The effectiveness of the internal audit system and audit plan is reviewed annually. The council's external auditors, Mazars LLP, are independently appointed and submit an annual report and certificate of audit, which is presented to the council once they have examined the annual governance and accountability return and any other documents specifically requested. The council has responsibility for conducting an annual review of the effectiveness of the system of internal control, and the review of the effectiveness of the system of internal control is informed by the work of the full council, the clerk to the council and RFO, who have responsibility for the development and maintenance of the internal control environment and managing risks, the appointed councillor responsible for conducting internal audit checks, the independent internal auditor who reviews the council's system of internal control, Mazars LLP, the council's external auditors who make the final check using the annual return, a form completed and signed by the RFO, the chair and the independent internal auditor. The external auditors issue an annual audit report and certificate. Through the audit process and the number of significant issues that are raised during the year, if relevant. The one thing that was picked up last year, which I've left in for this year, is training for members and officers continues to be a priority to address any gaps in knowledge and understanding of roles and responsibilities. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. A lot to take in, but this is a statement of the last year's period, and we're going to be asked to propose and approve
Yes,
those.
please.
Propose, Councillor Marie.
Sorry, can I just
Yes,
ask
of
a
course.
question? Who is the councillor, the appointed councillor responsible for conducting internal audit checks?
So at the moment, that's Councillor Danielle Carter.
And we've got the agenda for
We have.
this coming year
Yes,
as well.
yes. Yeah.
Thank you for the
Yeah.
clarification.
Thank you. So Councillor Marie and Councillor Pennington vote.
That's unanimous.
That's unanimous. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
If I could ask if you could sign.
Sign it, yeah.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. And sign as well.
Okay, item 5 on agenda item 12, to review and approve a risk register for year ending 31st of March 2025. I'm happy to propose the risk register, but I'd like to also ask that we take that into the FNGP committee to have a review at some point in this coming year, if that's okay from the chair.
Yes.
I'm happy to propose. The votes. Thank you very much.
Is it unanimous? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
To approve the annual governance statement by resolution, section 1 page 4, the annual governance and accountability return for the year ended 31st March 2025. Town clerk to read these at the meeting, town clerk and the mayor to sign the dates plus minute reference. So I think we have already reviewed this within F&GP, is that correct? We have seen this? Yes, we have seen that.
You have seen it,
Yeah.
but you haven't reviewed it. So I need to read each of these.
Yeah,
annual
okay.
governance
Yeah, that's
statements.
fine.
Thank you. So these are the 9 assertions. So each one I'll read and I'll tell you that if you agree yes, what that means for the authority. So number 1, we have put in place arrangements for the effective financial management during the year and for the preparation of the accounting statements. Agreeing yes to this means this authority prepared its accounting statements in accordance with the accounts and audit regulations. Assertion number 2, we maintained an adequate system of internal control, including measures designed to prevent and detect fraud and corruption and review its effectiveness. Agreeing yes to this means the authority made proper arrangements and accepted responsibility for safeguarding the public money and resources in its charge. Assertion 3, we took all reasonable steps to assure ourselves that there were no matters of actual or potential non-compliance with laws, regulations and proper practices that could have a significant financial effect on the ability of this authority to conduct its business or manage its finances. Agreeing yes to this statement means the authority has only done what it has legal powers to do and has complied with proper practices in doing so. Assertion 4, we provided proper opportunity during the year for the exercise of electors' rights in accordance with the requirements of the accounts and audit regulations. Yes to this means the authority during the year gave all persons interested the opportunity to inspect and ask questions about this authority's accounts. Assertion 5, we carried out an assessment of the risks facing this authority and took appropriate steps to manage those risks, including introduction of internal controls and or external insurance cover where required. Answering yes to this statement means the authority considered and documented the financial and other risks it faces and dealt with them properly. Number 6, we maintained throughout the year an adequate and effective system of internal audit of the accounting records and control systems. Answering yes to this statement, the authority arranged for a competent person, independent of the financial controls and procedures, to give an objective view on whether internal controls meet the needs of this smaller authority. Number 7, we took appropriate action on all matters raised in reports from internal and external audit. Yes to this means the authority responded to matters brought to its attention by internal and external audit. Number 8, we considered whether any litigation, liabilities or commitments, events or transactions occurring either during or after the year end have a financial impact on this authority and where appropriate have included them in the accounting statements. Yes to this statement means the authority disclosed everything it should have about its business activity during the year, including events taking place after the year end if relevant. And number 9, trust funds, including charitable. In our capacity as the sole managing trustee, we discharged our accountability responsibilities for the fund assets, including financial reporting and, if required, independent examination or audit. Yes to this statement means the authority has met all of its responsibilities, where as a body corporate, it is a sole managing trustee of a local trust or trusts. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no comments, does somebody have to propose? Councillor Breen and Councillor Franklin seconding. Voting. That's unanimous.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. If I could just, I'll
Yep.
you sign. Thank you. I'll sign that. Yeah, you just sign that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Number 6, to approve the accounting statements for 2024-25, section 2 page 5 of the annual governance and accountability return for the year ended 31st March 2025, to be signed by the mayor.
Yeah, sorry, you need to vote, please.
Oh, okay. So we're going to read it all.
No, sorry, no, we're not.
Proposer, Councillor Morehouse, seconder, Councillor Green.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I've got into sort of this pattern of listening to everything being read out.
Councillor Green, so there, yep, signed by the chair.
Thank you very much.
Approved.
That's a lot.
Thank you.
The final one is to receive and consider a report from the Town Clerk regarding the internal audit of Sandwich Town Council account and to review the appointment of the internal auditor for the year 25-26.
Sorry, I can read it if you want me to. Basically, I recommend that we continue with the internal auditor, Marlbury Local Authority Services
Yes.
Limited. Yes.
Yeah. I'm happy to propose that. Second, Marie, seconding that.
Thank you.
That's unanimous as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And so, Mr. Mayor, can I just add
Yep.
that the literally the exercise of public rights. So this is where the assertion goes out that the accounts will be available for inspection. So just to let people know, that will commence on the 25th of June 2025 and it will end on the 5th of August 2025. The notices will be on the website, in our notice boards. So just to let everybody know that obviously is that opportunity for anyone that wants to, that's interested.
What's the end date again, so it's
5th of August. So that's part of our, making sure with the annual governance annual return, we're meeting all the requirements.
Thank you very much. Just a comment which we did say at FNGP, that actually to thank you, the RFO who's now departed, in terms of all the work that was done, and that's borne out by the audit that we've had undertaken. Thank you very much for all your efforts over the year. I suppose I'm glad we only do this once a year where we have to go through all of this. It's a really important process, but it's a lot of stuff to cover. But thank you for everything that was done past year, and it's, as I say, evidenced by the external review of that information.
Thank you. And if I would just add as well, with this public rights to inspect, there does need to be an appointment made. So somebody can't email me on the morning to tell me they're coming in the afternoon. We do have to have an appointment system. So whoever contacts me, if somebody is interested, I'll obviously facilitate and make sure they get that appointment. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 13, and that's attachment 14 in the pack. And this is the Sandwich Christmas Lights request for funding. And would you like to just give just a summary of it? Because I think hopefully we've all read it. I mean, it's fairly clear, but if you'd like to just summarise. So it's attachment 14.
Thank you. And here we go. Okay. Thank you. So yes, this purpose of the report, you're asked to consider a request from the Sandwich Community Lights Committee for funding to support the Christmas light switching and parade for 2025. The background is that it's an annual event established over 30 years ago. It is organised by the Sandwich Community Lights, a community-led organisation run by volunteers. They have found themselves in a bit of a situation this year where they are needing additional funds. And they were not able to make the original window when we had the interim opportunity for people to apply. So you've got here before you report that details what the organisation is, how long they've been established, why the funding wasn't sought in the first round of the interim opportunity, what the funds will be used for, and what would happen if they don't receive funding. And you do have as well the constitution that was shared by the chair of the committee.
Yes, so the request is to allocate the remaining £700 that was unallocated in the first round for an important event that happens in the latter part of the year. And without that in the town, I think it would really leave a big gap in terms of the various festival and events we have in Sandwich. But I'll open up to Councillor Wiles first, then Councillor Marie, and then Councillor Carter.
I should declare an interest, I suppose, because I'm a committee member of community events, so I won't vote on this.
Okay.
But I have to say, last year on that day, it was the busiest I've ever seen the town. It was an absolutely fantastic day. Thousands of people here with knock-on benefits, shops, restaurants, pubs, etc. So I would thoroughly recommend this.
Thank you very much. Councillor Marie?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I stated earlier, I am the SDC representative for the Christmas lights. I was also the chairman for the past 8 years of Christmas lights. I stood down last year, as you can reflect in the report. It says that there was a change of committee memberships where I stood down after my time within the lights. I can say that the the light itself is predominantly for Sandwich. Folk French Weekend, and others are for the wider area. Predominantly, the lights is for the town. It puts Sandwich in lights, basically. Put their name in lights, basically. I'm sure Councillor Moore has to echo what I'm saying. Was the busiest it was last year. It was an incredible evening last year, and it was very successful. Though the fire engine did break down, but we won't speak about that. Just want to make clear that the money that they have is it's not to buy new lights. It's to recondition the old lights that we have, because we've been keeping with the town, and they work well, and also the businesses are getting behind the lights more as well. And also, more so is regarding the charges that have increased regarding from DDC with running events. Obviously, we normally have the front car park closed off, so we can put the fun fair. This money, hopefully, we'll see if we can work towards getting the fun fair back in the square, in the car park, but that's up to the new chairman and the committee to decide that. But I fully recommend second what Councillor Wiles said.
Okay, thank you. I've had enough in terms of support of it. If there's anybody who's got any challenge or any questions, Councillor Carter.
Yeah, I do support Christmas lights. I know it's a wonderful thing. And my question is, normally if any application for grant, we need to review the procedure looking at last 3 years' accounts. So we haven't got any accounts presenting to us. Normally any other application, we have some sort of financial support paperwork so we can have. So I just want to know where the accounts.
I think if you recall the actual round that we did earlier this year, that was not a requirement, but I mean, this is a specific request that's come to this meeting. There's a very clear explanation of why they want this and what will happen if they don't. So I'm happy to proceed on that basis. And if it's unsuccessful, then so be it. But I'd like to propose that we do vote on this, because the 3 years accounts was not part of the round that we undertook in March, I believe it was.
Sorry.
Yes, is that right?
That's correct. If I may, I was chair at the time, so the budget was allocated because obviously we stopped the Tollbridge Fund and we're still waiting for the medic stuff, so organisations were applied for.
Yeah.
The last one was Sandwich in Bloom, and I made the request that their budget was their award was halved, so in case the other events, because otherwise we'd be out of money, to give help to others. And this is the classic case of an event needing or an organisation needing help, and I'm glad that we did that at the time.
Anything else? Councillor seconding it. We go to a vote. Got one,
two,
one abstention.
three
Green or
abstentions.
yellow. Oh, you're not voting. You're not voting.
Yeah, abstaining. Yeah, three abstentions.
Yeah.
Should be recorded that I didn't vote.
Yes.
Abstain on it.
Thank you very much, and one against. Okay. Moving on to agenda item 14, Dover District Council Off-Street Order 2020 amendment. This is for members to receive and note the detail of the DDC Off-Street Order 2020 amendments presented to us at attachment 15. Any comments, Councillor Morehouse?
When this issue was raised at overview and scrutiny back in April, Councillor Mallock attended and spoke. I was asked to leave the room. Should I do so on this occasion?
I mean, it's up to you. If you
I was asked to leave the room.
Only one.
Perhaps I should follow suit.
It has to be your
I
decision.
will, yeah.
Okay, do we have any comments from Ruby on this? I mean, these charges are already in place as far as I understand, because I've checked on the internet website for DDC, and these are the charges that exist. I'm not completely sure what we've been asked to agree to here. Do you know?
So it's not to agree, it's to note the information. Yeah. And obviously,
I propose that we know them.
I'll second that, but I'd like to answer that amendment and no comment.
Yes.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, because it does say representation supporting objections. Your objection must explain the impact on traffic in the locality to be valid.
Yeah.
So there's a deadline of 26th of June,
which is only 3 days away. There are no comments, so we're not commenting on that.
Okay.
And we're noting it. So I'd like to propose we note it. Councillor Rees seconded that. And good votes. That's all noting, except for one abstention.
One abstention. Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item 15, this is a draft Dover District Town.
I think it's 16. Isn't it?
Agenda item 15.
Oh, yes, sorry. You're
Yeah.
right.
Draft Dover District Town and Parish Charter consultation, which is attachment 16.
That's it.
So we've been asked to consider the charter. Invited to comment. All responses will be collated and submitted to a meeting of the DDC Cabinet in the autumn with any proposed changes. My personal view is I attended the meeting, and it's probably going back 6 months ago actually, when parish councils met with DDC and this was tabled. I think the reaction in this room is about as much as what happened on that night as well. So a charter is a charter, but Councillor Fortescue is obviously animated by it, so let's...
Well, I wasn't quite clear, aims of the charter. The first one, to acknowledge the vital roles played by both parties in local government. It wasn't quite clear to me what was meant by both parties.
Well, means DDC and parish council.
Yeah, no, as the document unfolds, it talks about what DDC will do and what the parish and town council will do. So I think that's the line that's been drawn within that charter, Councillor Fortescue.
But it might actually spell out that it's, it could read something like to acknowledge the vital roles played both by Dover District,
Okay,
etc.
to be more specific. Yeah.
The introduction does kind of cover it.
We'll reflect on that one, and if it's if we've got a lot more comments to add in. No. Are we happy to note it without any further comments?
We like lots of things in local government, there's lots of words in there.
So it's good to have the
Whether they
charter.
actually happen
Yeah.
is another matter.
The local government reorganisation will test this charter.
We might file it away as well. Councillor Black.
I would just make a comment, that's having seen the massive lack of engagement already from Dover District Council about local government reorganisation. This is nonsense. It's not, they are not even starting to adhere to it. So, you can note it, but I think if others have been very quiet about it, perhaps we should be quiet, but.
So the response on the 24th of June, isn't it? Oh,
Yes.
No, that one's different.
Oh, 31st of July.
31st of July.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is, sorry, Councillor Ripley.
Rubbish.
Yeah, I just, page 78, part 3, roles and responsibilities. My query is about to work collaboratively with all town parish councils on issues of mutual interest. But I'm sorry, but I think DDC has been seriously lacking in the past with their collaboration with us. We get numbered with things and we know that at the last minute, so
this may change everything.
let's hope so.
Councillor Marie.
If you allow me to, I don't think this is worth the paper it's written on. The communication is dire regarding parish councils, and so especially us with Dover District Council, and obviously the parking charges stuff, they kind of tried to stick that in through the back door without consulting any of the parish councils. So make a note, but with no comment whatsoever, because I don't think they'll ever achieve this, and obviously the devolution stuff's coming in, so my opinion is they're just writing it on blank paper, personally.
So what I would suggest is, obviously, this is an important document that they've generated. I'd prefer not to go back with some heartfelt views, because I don't think that will add value to the process. But what I would suggest, if we give a week's opportunity for any councillors to reflect on how they might have reflected something tonight, if you want to put it in a way that actually relates to the document itself, more than happy to look at that and we can present that, if that's okay.
Can I just ask one thing? Was there any collaboration between DDC and parishes?
Only
in the putting together of this document?
Not putting together, as far as I know. My experience is only from that meeting we went to, and it was presented, and
A fait
It was-
accompli.
Well, yeah, it was presented. Okay, so if we give some time for any comments. Okay, I propose we note it and there's an opportunity for any specific comments relating to the content within the next week. So, second vote. Thank you very much.
Is that agreed? Yeah.
All agreed, yes. Moving on to agenda item 16, Cinque Ports champion for sandwich. So the Confederation of Cinque Ports are seeking a Cinque Port champion to represent Sandwich and contribute to the development meetings organised on a regular basis. So this is one name we're looking for. So I'm looking for anybody who would like to put their name forward. I do know Councillor Carter Paul has mentioned his interest. Is there anybody else who's interested?
It's not me. Can I
Yes,
suggest Councillor Murray?
Councillor Marie as well. Councillor Black.
I was just going to ask, what do they do?
So from my experience, it is a small subset of the Cinque Ports Confederation who meet and talk about the future development, design, basically the delivery of the Confederation as an organisation. So it's a working group level type activity with half a dozen or so representatives on it.
Is it likely to be a bit more proactive than what we've seen so far in terms of publicity and everything else, which is a little bit lacking?
Are you bidding to be on?
I wasn't bidding, I'm asking you what.
I
Once I know
can't
what
answer
it's
that.
about, then I might put my hand up. But I think we've got a good nominee already.
Councillor Carter.
Yeah, I just being paused, absent Paul here. He just want me to say, because if your question about what they do, when Paul was a speaker of Singapore, he's initiated a website. They didn't even have a website before. So he want to have more information for people to know what Singapore is all about. The championship is sort of somebody representing Sandwich at the meeting have their, I don't know how often, Jeff was quite a lot, was it? Regular, sort of say twice every other month, for example. All the Singapore, 14 Singapore meet together, discuss what we need to do, how to publicise the Singapore, what can we do better, that sort of thing. But I don't know the detail, but he obviously involved a lot last year being Speaker of Singapore, so he's very interested to representing Sandwich again.
So yes, Councillor.
Yeah, this was an initiative that started 3 years ago by the then Speaker down at Hythe. The idea is that the Confederation only meet 2 times a year, and the idea is this group, so there'd be 14 representatives, 1 from each Cinque Port, they meet more regularly, so that they can advertise what each Cinque Port is doing, work together, so it'd be more or less like a tourism thing and advertise, so we can all work together for a common aim for the Cinque Port. I mean, like there might be a sailing regatta at Hastings, but who here knows there's a sailing regatta at Hastings? But if we get the champions, that's the idea, that it links the 14 port more closely together.
Thank you very much. That's very helpful. So we've got 2 names. So can I suggest that we do go to a vote on those 2 names? Unless there's any other comments, and if not, I'll do them in alphabetical order. Councillor P. Carter is the first name. Would anybody like to vote for Paul Carter? 4. And those for Councillor Marie? 2, 3, 4,
6, 7,
8.
Is it
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
8?
Abstaining.
Sorry, was there an abstention?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Therefore, Councillor Marie is the nomination to go forward.
Yeah.
Thank you. Agenda item 17, appointment of the Council Auditor 2025-26. So for the previous year, I believe it was Councillor Danielle Carter. This is to appoint a Town Councillor to undertake a monthly reconciliation check on the accounts, including signing back reconciliation, and statements. Deputy to be considered to be appointed in the event that the primary councillor is not available. Are there any people, any councillors willing to put their names forward to be considered for this? Councillor Breen, thank you. Anybody else? No? So I'm happy to propose Councillor Breen. Councillor Franklin very quickly seconding that.
It's me, isn't it? There's a volunteer. What would you want?
Vote on that. So unanimous.
Yep.
And do we want to consider a deputy? And if so, is somebody happy to nominate themselves as a deputy? on a just-in-case basis.
You don't have to.
We don't have to, that's fine, we'll move on then.
Okay.
Mark.
Councillor Morehouse,
Yes.
I'm happy to propose Councillor Morehouse.
I second.
Councillor. And that is unanimous as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item 18, attachment 19, Human Resources Committee recruitment. Members consider reports from the HR committee that relates to the process and cost for recruitment for 2 roles for STC. And that is attachment 19. Okay, so do you want to talk to this one, Town Clerk, or would Councillor Green like to talk to this?
I'm quite happy to talk to it.
Thank you very much.
Just running briefly through, you'll see in section 1 is to thank both the town clerk and the RFO for some really great work and actually some outstanding work. I think we've been very lucky to have them. The town clerk's obviously retiring at the end of September, and the RFO has already left us, and it's imperative that we move forward with recruiting permanent people to take over their roles. But because of the way it kind of works, we need to have some overlap and bring in interims. And you can see in the table there, for the recruitment of the town clerk, by the time you issue the advert, receive responses, make appointments and so forth, it's the kind of the gestation period is 25 weeks, and the town clerk is going to leave before then, so we do need to bring in an interim. And it's the same with the RFO, the interim is already in place. In terms of organising this, when we're trying to recruit a town clerk, I don't think any of us on the council really have the knowledge and insight. So the proposal from the HR is that we should try and get an experienced town clerk to help with the technical aspects of the recruitment, because obviously it's unfair to ask our existing town clerk if she would help with that, and indeed she may not even be here when we hold those interviews. So there is a proposal that we set aside £1,000 as a fee to pay for some specialist support. In terms of advertising the roles, these roles have not yet been advertised and the job descriptions haven't been finalised. So this committee is asking for permission to allow the HR committee to finalise the draft job descriptions and adverts tomorrow night, and then we can formally launch them on the Sandwich Town Council website. But also we need to launch them in the areas where town clerks and RFOs actually look. And so the proposal is to go to the Society of Local Council Clerks, and they offer different packages, but in terms of how long they will advertise the role for, whether they use their own social media. But the recommendation from the council is that we should adopt one of their bronze packages, which costs £324. So we're asking for a decision on that now. But really, this is a major thing for the council, because when we look at the cost of the advertising the roles, we look at the cost of paying 2 wages during the overlap periods. And yes, there can be a premium cost, and there is a premium cost for an agency person. And when we look at that all combined, the estimate is it's going to be something like a £40,000 cost over and above what was budgeted for this council for this year. And 40,000, you can see the build up there, and in some aspects the build up could be conservative because we don't exactly know how long we will need the insurance for. but it's a significant amount of money. And as the council only has just over £50,000 in its general contingency, this money can only come from the general contingency. But in taking the monies from the general contingency, we're then broaching the regulations which say that we should keep several months' money in hand. But this is the reality of it, where we've kind of got no alternative but to recruit interims. But it's important to get on with this recruitment. So we're asking for 5 decisions of 5 things here. To agree in principle to recruit an interim town clerk to align with the availability of our current town clerk, who has got holidays to take before she retires at the end of September. So that's one decision in principle. The second one, to approve to engage the experienced town clerk to help us with the recruitment. We might not be able to get one, but we should try. And the third decision we're asking for is to delegate authority to the HR to finalise the job description and job adverts. And to approve, the fourth decision then is to approve the proposal to use the SLCC website for the adverts and to note the impact. So that's the report. If anybody's got any questions, I'm sure myself or other members of the HR committee will try and answer.
Yeah, so I'll just make a comment. In terms of the actual cost of recruitment itself, it's small and wouldn't impact the budget significantly. The costs arise from the fact that we are paying for the interim RFO at the moment. We will be paying potentially for an interim town clerk as well. The longer that lasts, the more expensive or more the costs increase. So it's imperative on us to do the recruitment as quickly as we can and hopefully secure somebody suitable to fill the 2 roles. And then the costs will go down as a consequence. But these are principal amounts that are suggested in terms of the lead-in times and recruitment. And I think, as Councillor Breen says, this is the reality that we have to manage. It's not looking for money to spend, it's actually money we might have to incur as a result. But
and sorry, could I just finally say, as the Mayor is saying, this is an estimate. Once we've actually gone through this process, the HR committee will bring an actual cost report to this council so that you can actually see.
So I'll start at that end and work down, because obviously I will take a number of comments on this. Councillor Pennington.
Thank you. No problems with the principle of what's proposed. I just had 2 questions of detail. One is whether Calc couldn't help with the process and in particular providing advice on the equipment. Secondly, would it be possible to send the decider to fix the reference for both post-round members of the council once they've been decided and named after?
I would have thought so, but on an information basis, yes?
Yes.
Yes, of course. No reason to do that, is there? No, that's fine. Councillor Marie?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. As a member of the HR committee, or new member of the HR committee, this is an unprecedented time. We're losing 2 major roles within the council, and it could get close to the council going to a halt. It won't, because we have an interim finance officer. The last time it came to this was a few years ago. We had the former chief executive, and she departed, and no work was getting done. So my comment would be we need to do this, get it right. We need to do it quickly, but we have to get it right as well, because we can't go down to where it was 3-4 years ago as a council when I just became a councillor. That's my.
Thank you very much. Sorry, Councillor Fortescue, did you have a comment? I'm coming this way and then I'll come down.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. I'm totally against this interim clerk. I mean, our clerk's here till September.
Yes.
We have a trained town clerk, don't we? I mean, she could probably increase her hours, if we ask her. And I think the cost in it is ridiculous. We've never done that before, had an interim town clerk. we've had no clerk, and we've had, something else, but we've never had a clerk and two people employed at the same job at the same time just to learn. I think I'm totally against this interim town clerk. I think it costs me ridiculous.
So, one comment I would make about the assistant town clerk is actually they're not a deputy town clerk, so they can't step up. And I have spoken to them already.
Yes, but they are a fully qualified town clerk. I think they're the parish clerk for Ash.
But not. I have spoken to that officer, and for a number of reasons. Firstly, that officer doesn't feel prepared, ready to be a town clerk, isn't qualified, and currently works reduced hours. So there are a number of reasons why that person doesn't feel able or wanting to do it, and that's entirely their call. But I think this interim position is about a small overlap to make sure there's a transfer of information. This is not about dual running for weeks, but the town clerk, current town clerk, leaves at the end of September, so we're not very far away from that. And the question is, when we come to that point, whether we want to take an interim or not, there'll be a cost budget put forward to us. The recruitment will already have started, and we'll know where we are in the recruitment cycle. Because we may find ourselves in a position that we get an applicant very quickly, or equally get no applicants. So we'll have to see how it unfolds. But they are very valid comments, and we have to be very careful about the amount of spend.
I mean, the town clerk's not leaving until September, and you're saying that she's not fully qualified. She doesn't have to be, because we've still got the town clerk here. I think we can keep the town clerk till September.
We can.
And we've got the assistant town clerk, as I understand it. She should do, I think, assistant town clerk and responsible finance officer, because she was doing two roles. She could just, instead of her doing a finance officer, concentrate on the town clerk with the town clerk until we get a full-time town clerk. I don't think we need this interim one. I think it's ridiculous.
I think we can certainly take that into the HR committee and discuss that tomorrow when we meet. Yes, Councillor Wiles.
Councillor Anderson.
Oh, you can go that way if you want. Councillor Anderson.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wiles. It's been a problem all my life that my name begins with you. I would like to make two comments. One is, I do think that the appointment of an interim town clerk will be very difficult, because we will rely on the availability of somebody in this locality coming forward who has the qualification to be a town clerk. So that's just a warning.
Yes.
The second point that I want to make has a more general applicability. And that is that although it's a small proportion of the expenditure that's projected in this paper, £1,000 is £1,000. And I'm not at all clear what the expertise is that the HR committee wishes to buy in through a fee to be paid to somebody with some unnamed form of expertise. The two forms of expertise that strike me as possibly the reason as to why the council is being asked to fund an additional £1,000 is one, human capital and knowing who's around, who should be headhunted from local councils, what town clerk has got itchy feet in the southeast region and might be persuaded to come here. That's one form of expertise. And the other form of expertise, I'm really not clear what the queries are, and as Councillor Pennington has already said, they are possibly forms of expertise that could be satisfied by making inquiries of help and none. But I would like to hear more about what it is that the HR committee thinks it doesn't possess and which could be satisfied by the payment of a £1,000 fee.
Okay, so we'll come back to that. Councillor Green might come back and I'll take Councillor Black first.
Okay, I propose this because that's a method I've used very frequently. When you're got relatively new people and you don't have the full technical expertise, it's not like engineers recruiting an engineer and they know what engineering is about. We are relatively new councillors, the majority on the committee, not all, and we want to be sure that we can actually ask the tough questions that we may not have picked up. And this is something that many organisations do, particularly universities do it, when you're recruiting for non-academic jobs. So if you're looking for a finance director, you would use your own management, but you might well use a finance director from another university. In some cases, they do it pro bono. We don't know if they're going to do it pro bono. In this case, we may be able to do that. This is a contingency that we've put in place. And usually you'll find that they will be able to give you nuances, which unless you're really familiar in that field, you won't have, because you're not experts in that field. And that's the reason for proposing this. It's not, and if they can bring us some useful additional information about head hunting, great. This is much more in the interviewing process and the understanding process. If they can bring us expertise in advance for that, well and good, but that was not the primary objective.
Councillor Anderson.
Yeah, I take your point about universities, but universities are much larger organisations than Sandwich Town Council. And we are, as councillors, familiar with a great deal of the workings that go on within this small, relatively small organisation. And I'm still not clear what the specific forms of expertise are that we would be paying £1,000 for.
Thank you.
Apart from perhaps knowing who's around, but also the other point I wanted to make is that we're very, very unlikely to have a great deal of choice.
Yes. I'll take Councillor Wiles first.
You want to take?
Yeah, so I wasn't able to attend the HR committee the week before last, but was elected chair in my absence. So I'll be taking this on with other members of the committee. I do have some experience of this because if you recall when the former chief executive left, it was myself and a couple of others who recruited an interim town clerk. You may remember that person. But I was also involved in finding our current town clerk by writing to all of the town clerks in the area, in the eastern part of Kent. And I'm proposing we do that again, because there might well be someone, as Councillor Anderson says, who's, has itchy feet and is looking to step up. I mean, I very much hope that the figures listed here are kind of worst case scenario. Yeah. For example, 13 weeks for notice, it might be there's someone who can start next week. We don't know. But what I would urge the council to do is to give the HR committee full authority just to crack on with this, because you really need to, move things forward. I am suggesting as well that we cast the net as far as possible, as widely as possible, not just through SLCC, but through social media channels, through contacts. There might be someone out there who doesn't even know that the town clerk is leaving or the RFO has left, and they could be interested in the position. So we do need to go as far as and wide as possible. But yes, I do urge the council to give HR committee the delegated authority just to get on with this.
Councillor Green.
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Mayor. In response to Councillor Ungerson, I would say a couple of things. Number one, a lot of even interim jobs now, the recruitment process involves psychometric testing and a lot of behavioural testing, because it's not just about being able to do things, and a lot was talked about having a clerk with the right competency and the general power of competency. And the other important thing for me is to have somebody who has knowledge of the people who are available, because despite our best efforts, people can interview well, especially when they're experienced people. They've probably had a lot of jobs, and sometimes they get good references because their current employers would be glad to see the back of them. So I think, I'm recommending that we do have the option. I don't know that we're going to find somebody who can give us those levels of insight. But I think it's something that would be well worth spending when we're spending so much money on this process. And we really want somebody who's going to lock into this council and, do as Karen Palmer did, do 10 years plus.
Any other comments?
Could I just,
Yes.
I'll just comment on the £1,000. I mean, that's a small element within this, but it might well be that as a town clerk, I can think of one who could give this pro bono, so that we get the expertise or the advice for nothing.
So, yeah, final comment.
I do think, psychometric testing, I will do, but I do think it's very important that we are committed to appointing a town clerk with all the qualifications that a town clerk, in order to call themselves a town clerk, has to have, because we must retain the general power of competence. And if we don't appoint a town clerk, then we lose it, and that would have consequences which we don't want.
So in terms of the general power of competence, we don't lose it immediately that the existing town clerk goes. We retain it for the full year. So there is some capacity beyond.
So you retain it until the next election?
Sorry, yes, to the next
The next
election.
election.
We've got 2 years. So that's worth noting. But my personal view is looking at the recommendations. For me, 3 and 4 are the key ones tonight, and I hope we get those approved, which is to approve that the authority is delegated to the HR committee to get on with the job descriptions and adverts, and also to approve the listing of the job vacancies themselves at the cost that's indicated. My sense is that we possibly need to come back with more detail. The issue is that the STC currently does not meet again till September.
You're going to have to.
So I think we need to look at seriously considering coming back as an extraordinary meeting once we've got some clarity within the HR committee on those particular aspects. Because once the adverts are out, we'll know what the response is, we'll know what we're dealing with in terms of capacity and timescales. I would like to suggest that I would propose number 3 and 4 we vote on, and the others we can defer and come back at a later point, unless others would like to disagree with me on that, say we propose them all. Councillor Murray.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to see your comments on item 2, which is approving principle to engage with the town clerk. I do feel that should be part of it as well. So 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
That'd be my opinion. And if you are happy to amend that, I'll have to second.
I'm happy to do that. So that's.
Yeah, so if we don't agree to principle number 1, we're going to run out of time. The whole point that Councillor Green has made is looking at the timescale. If you don't do any interim at all, you are going to run out of time, and already we have an interim for the RFO. I don't think you can ignore one. Whether you choose 2, I would recommend that you don't refuse to make a decision on that. I would think that all 5 of them really need to be made. But if we don't do one, it's a problem.
No, you are right, Councillor Black, because I think we need to come back with, having started the process of looking for an interim, I think we should still come back in terms of what the potential cost is for that, in terms of where it's, because we've just got an indicative cost at the moment. So we do need to come back with costs for the full council to agree to, because the impact on the general reserve is significant, and we aren't going to be able to create money from elsewhere. So we need to make a sensible decision regarding the general reserve and the impact of it. So that would be my suggestion. So that means, in principle, we agree to investigate the recruitment of an interim town clerk, to find out how quickly we might find someone and what the cost is. But I think we should have to come back to STC, taking account of comments from Councillor Ungerson, which has been supported by elsewhere as well. So if not, we are potentially looking at a budget cost, potentially, of 40,000 out of the 59,000.
Sorry, I don't know if it's the proper thing to do, but I'm going to ask anyway. Could we ask the town clerk, having worked here for a number of years now and understanding the complexities, do you feel that somebody could come in and pick it up cold without a handover and some kind of guidance? And how long would it take that person to get fully up to speed? Because I've really got the feeling that the job is so complex. It's advisable to have kind of a handover period.
I would say, it is complex because you've got the Tollbridge Fund, but it's actually the sheer amount of work that's involved that is the biggest challenge. And it is finding somebody that's prepared to put in the hours. Lots of I do on average 50 hours a week. I'm actually contracted for 37 and a half. There is no way I could do both roles, which is the Tollbridge Fund and the Town Council, service all your meetings, do the agendas, do the minutes, do the reports in 37 and a half hours a week. It's just not possible. So I think that's the biggest challenge is to look at capacity. Yeah.
I know we're struggling a bit with this now, I'm not surprised. So I'll just take a couple more comments and we will need, and I'll ask Councillor Green to reflect and think about in terms of his recommendations, which ones we can push through without too much challenge and see whether we need to modify any. Councillor Pennington.
Thank you. Just briefly, firstly, I would support the proposal that you made to have a bit more time to work on it and then come back to an extraordinary council meeting, because it is a fairly fluid and developing process. Secondly, I would urge the HR committee to focus on the recruitment of the long-term people rather than get stuck on recruiting interims and so on.
That's a good point.
The important thing, as you said, is A, launch the procedure as fast as we can, and B, to see it through so that we have a permanent town clerk and RFO in position as soon as possible. I take the cost as something we have to swallow.
Yeah, that's a helpful comment. Councillor Wiles, last comment and the last
comment. So I think, according to the timetable, by the end of July, we will get applications for the post. So at that point, we can have a fairly clear idea how many people there are, whether any of them are suitable, and whether at that point we do need an interim or not. Because if the person who seems suitable is on a 13-week notice, then clearly there will be an interim required. Possibly there won't be. So I think recommendation 1 has to stay in there, but it has to be a flexible situation that we adapt as we go along, depending on the responses received by the end of July.
Okay.
So I'm not saying that we should definitely appoint an interim, but we might need to.
And it is agreement in principle, is how it's written.
Agreement.
Councillor Green.
Yeah, no, I think, we've got to plan for the worst but hope for the best. And yes, very happy to come back at the end of July when the advert's been running for 3 weeks. We'll have a much clearer picture then, and happy to do that.
So if we could move to a vote. So the first recommendation is to agree in principle to recruit an interim town clerk to align with availability of an interim to achieve an optimum handover period and possibly holiday cover. Is somebody happy to propose that? Councillor Black, Councillor Wiles is seconding it. So if we could vote on that.
One against. One abstain. Sorry. One against.
One by one.
Yeah, one against. Okay.
Recommendation 2, approval in principle to engage an experienced town clerk to assist with recruitment of a new town clerk with a budget of £1,000. Is anybody happy to? Councillor Black's proposing. Councillor Marie, second, and the vote.
1, 2, 3 against.
I'm abstaining.
You abstain, and how many of us abstaining?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 abstentions.
5. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4.
8 in favour.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Recommendation 3, delegated authority to the HR committee to approve a job descriptions and adverts to be used as part of the recruitment process. I'm happy to propose that.
Second.
Councillor Marie. That is
one abstention.
Two
Yeah,
abstentions.
oh, two abstentions, yeah.
Fourth one is to approve to list job vacancies on the SLCC website for 4 weeks at a cost of £324 plus that for each vacancy. I'm happy to propose that.
Second.
Marie. And that's unanimous. And council to note and accept the estimated impact on the operating reserve budget.
So could that be changed to
Yes.
potential estimated?
Sorry, would you be happy to council to note, not to accept necessarily, but to note for the potential estimated impact on the operating reserve? So at this stage, we should just note it. Yep, and we will come back to discuss that. Yes?
I'll propose that.
And councillor I'll second the vote. That's two abstentions. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to agenda item 19, representation of outside bodies, to elect members to serve on various statutory bodies and other outside organisations for the ensuing civic year. Decision required, and that is attachment 20. So I think at the moment, the vast majority of those current councillors listed, it doesn't present any issues in terms of numbers.
Apart from
Calc, two.
Yes.
So Calc, we currently have two representatives are required. Currently we have Councillor Morehouse and Councillor Carter. On Calc, Council's Dover Area Committee. The question is, my name's been added on the basis of...
You expressed an interest.
Did I? Oh, wow. I am happy if the two existing ones prefer to do it.
Yes, yeah. I was going to recommend, unless there was any changes, I was going to recommend acceptance.
Okay. Councillor Morehouse, do you
to stay on there?
stay on there? Yeah.
So you're happy to?
I'm happy to be a deputy. If that's all right. Councillor Black?
But last time, it was Sandwich Festival Association. I know you were in a transition phase and we talked about that. I'm happy to be on it, but perhaps you and I need to talk about what you might want me to do.
Yes.
On that basis, I'm happy to accept.
We will have to have a coffee morning and chat about it, yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Just one question.
Sorry, Councillor Ripley first, and then.
Sorry.
Yeah, two things. White Cliffs Country, my name's down for that, and I did contact them when my name first went up, and I had no response from them, so I'm afraid that's down to death with me. The other one is the Fair Trade Derby District Network. Same thing, had no contact with them at all. I don't know about Councillor Tomlins, but nothing back from them.
So I think on those two, the town clerk could make contact. Just to establish whether they still need it. Are you happy to be the representative if
if they get that.
should it ever be met?
Yeah.
Councillor Morehouse?
Yes, the Whitewell Folk Museum. Notice my names again. When do they meet?
I've never
Friday
been
mornings.
in the 5 years I've been councillor.
Friday mornings.
Yes,
What,
we'll do.
committee?
They're not committee meetings there.
No,
Cakes and coffee.
Coffee and chat.
Yeah, they're quite informal at the moment because they've unfortunately they've had a few illnesses and few people have been left. But the Friday morning, so I have asked them to have it. They should have an AGM.
Okay.
So and I'd just like to say the United Charities. I don't know if you want to keep that on or just knock it off.
No, we are going to come to that in a minute.
Yes, we'll knock it up. Institutional.
Right. If it's pertinent to actually membership, that's fine. I don't necessarily want a very broad conversation, but if it's about your name's on anything, but Councillor Breen?
Yeah, a couple of things. The first thing, last year I was on the Rights of Way as an outside representative, and I contacted Kent County Council and I got a negative response from them on that. And I'd previously been on the waterways, and again, there wasn't any activity to report, but those two outside bodies, I don't know whether the council is still interested in being involved with them.
It's because we haven't had any contact. I can't find any record of contacts for the association of organisations any longer. So they may not be
removed.
removed.
Oh,
Councillor
Yeah, I was the actual Sandwich Town rep for about 12 years on the rights of way, but I think COVID knocked it on there because it was a local KCC officer in charge of the footpaths, and she used to have a meeting at least once a year in our area, like the Dover area. So perhaps our Kent County Council perhaps should chase up the rights of way the footpaths off.
If it's the same one that's in charge of the Brighton Path, it'd be useless, but.
It is the same one.
I think again, we'll add that to the list of contacts, or maybe if we've actually got a contact, yes? Okay, so that just leaves one, which is a Sandwich United charity. So we have had a bit of a checkered past around this, but we do know that there are 2 vacancies because they confirmed it in writing last year that will be available from September of this year. So it's 2 vacancies, as I understand, Town Clerk?
Yes, correct.
So we're looking for 2 names to go forward, and we have got 2, 4, 6 names interested. We might have more. Councillor Gray?
I thought the Sandwich United charity had passed a resolution that they no longer required, had the need for Sandwich Council representatives. And nothing.
I think it's slightly different to that if
So we were told last year that they had 4 representatives in place last year, but there were 2. The places will be available in September 2025. I've got an email to that effect from the chair. And that's why I put that in this.
and that was the last
That
correspondence.
doesn't seem to accord with the resolution which we were told they had passed, saying they no longer wished or required to have council representatives. So I don't understand that.
And I have checked on the Charity Commission, and I still can't see that that resolution has been documented.
Well, why are they only giving us 2 representatives?
Because
So their charter says.
because 2, yes, 4, but only 2 are becoming vacant because of the time scales of the duration of their tenure. Councillor Reid.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I can put some more light to that. So, Councillor Gray is absolutely correct. The resolution they made, I speak to the chair regularly. They made a resolution to stop STC councillors becoming trustees for the Sandwich United Charities. This council then took upon itself to write a letter when Councillor Cox was mayor at the time, and a letter went to the Charity Commissions arguing that case. They came back and they've come back and they gave a letter to the Sandwich United Charities saying that they can continue what they're doing. However, I do know that there are 2 vacancies going because I've seen them and I've spoken to the chair, and I do know that 4 people already, privately, put their names forward for the trusteeships. They're meeting on Thursday evening to discuss those positions within the trustees. That's I know, but I do feel this council needs to re-look at the Charity Commission or speak to the chair directly to see what the case is, because I do feel that what Councillor Gray is saying and what I'm saying is correct.
So what? Councillor Gray.
Sorry, thank you. Thanks for that, Councillor Marie. I've seen the charter which says that at the annual meeting of the Sandwich Town Council, 4 representatives would be nominated. So that's at the annual meeting. So I would have thought that 4 representatives from Sandwich Town Council should be nominated each year. I also feel that this council puts a great emphasis on tradition and respect. And I think it's important that the trustees of Sandwich United Charities show their respect to the Sandwich Town Council. I think they're being disrespectful.
Absolutely right.
I'm sorry, I think they're being disrespectful. And I think the council should engage with other mechanisms, with our chaplain, with our legal advisors, with the Charity Commission, to redouble our efforts, because this is not satisfactory and it's not a respectful way to treat Sandwich Town Council.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I agree. I completely agree. So the term was every time there's an election, 4 councillors from this council are elected to do a 4-year term for the Sandwich United Charities. Since the last elections in 2022, 23, they haven't. That's when they changed it. So the new administration, us, came in. That's when they started to change the resolution. I don't know the ins and outs of it. I just speak to the chair on as a friendly basis, just ask to see how it's going. Regarding the chaplain for the chaplain for St Clements, they own a separate chaplain for St Bart's, so that's null and void. The other, as I said, regarding if they change the resolution, I haven't personally seen the change of the resolution, and I've asked to see it personally. I could continue to ask him if it's beneficial for the council. I can bring it to the council to show you. But all I can do is ask for it. But that's how it is at the moment. I'm trying to help the council to understand and hope. I do agree. We should have representative. It's one of the biggest charities within the town. So we've always had trustees as from the STC representative within there for many years. So I do feel that yes, we do need to see how it goes, but we need to push it. I'm more than happy on my behalf to see what I can get in writing. But if the council are happy with that, but until then, I do, as I said, Councillor Gray's absolutely right. They have changed the resolution, and I'm not sure what we can do.
Yeah, I'm not certain they have changed the resolution. We've only seen in writing suggesting they have. So what I would, picking up on the comments suggested, Councillor Breen's right. I think it's actually an onus on us as a council to nominate 4 individuals, but I don't want to necessarily go through all the detail that we went through last time, because Councillor Gray was quite actively involved in that, as Town Clerk was, and it didn't get us any results in terms of it. So I do not want, particularly with the restrictions around capacity of staff, that we go through that certainly now. But I would suggest we should be nominating 4 names again, and we should put those forward to the SUC and wait their response. And we can ask for sight of the change to their constitution that demonstrates that they have actually updated it. That would be my proposal. If somebody's happy to support me on that, but we need to come up with 4 names. But Councillor Franklin,
there is always 4 town councillors, but they served. So you start off with 2 councillors, and then 2 years later you get another 2 councillors. So they always staggered. And we also had councillors that were members of the council, and then stood down the election, but they still wanted to be on some parts. So they were still represented in the town council. But it is like a 4 years. But it's every 2 years you nominate 2 councillors on, so they overlap.
But as things stand at the moment, we have not successfully nominated anybody for well before the previous election. So actually the 4 years and 4 candidates are now expired in terms of representatives. Councillor Miles.
So SUC is a very significant charity. It holds many assets, and it's, from my reading of their accounts, there's well over £2 million sitting in their account. So I think from our point of view as a town council, we have an interest in knowing what their plans are for the town, how they're managing their properties for the benefit of poor people in the town, how they're managing their assets, perhaps for wider housing issues. I've had a bit of a run-in, if you like, with the chair of the charity, which is why I didn't put my name forward, but I'm willing to provide advice because I've had experience of working with Alms House charities elsewhere. But I do think whoever goes on to that charity as nominees from this council needs to be prepared for perhaps a frosty reception. And they need to be willing to become heavily engaged in the work of that charity, to know what they're doing and to try and perhaps challenge some of the things that are happening there.
Just final question. Can I just point out to the council? So 3 former councillors that were elected to be as an STC reps for this council for the Sandwich United Charities still remain on the Sandwich United Charities trustees 3 years before after they've now left office of Sandwich Town Council. Just want to point that out to the council. You all know probably who they are, so I'll just leave that with you.
And beyond 4 years from being appointed by this council.
Yeah.
So I would suggest, I don't know if Town Clerk can advise, is that we do nominate 4 representatives tonight, and then we take it forward between yourself and me in terms of writing a letter with the names and seek a response from the charity.
Yeah.
Okay, any advice on the voting, how we run it. It's got 6 names at the moment.
So you've got 6 names, so is there anybody that, in hindsight, wants to withdraw from the process? If there isn't, then I think you need to do what we've just done with the, you read the names alphabetically and
Okay,
you take, yeah,
those.
yeah.
Councillor Anderson.
I think given that there are 6 candidates, I think that, and we're going to vote, I think each of those candidates should be given an opportunity to say why they would like to be a representative on the Sandwich.
Okay. Thank you.
What they would bring to it.
I think also, should each councillor have 4 votes for 4 candidates, rather than one vote? Sorry
Mr. Mayor, sorry, can I just say this is getting confusing and we're now on the time constraints over 9 o'clock now. My opinion would be is either to defer that item, agree the ones that we've agreed on, defer the Sandwich and other charities, and then we can put something in writing like we did for like the HR committee voting and for possibly stuff. I do feel that we're going to be, what's the word, without being rude, it's blowing in the wind basically. I do feel that we are going to be rock and a hard place regarding Sandwich, because they've been very frosty for the past 4 years. We all know that. And I do feel that we should.
My personal view is I think we're in this meeting today. We won't meet again till September. If we don't agree 4 names tonight, we are then just kicking it into the long grass, and it actually undermines any correspondence that we send. I think we should have 4 nominated councillors this evening, and we should take those as part of the communication. I accept what you're saying, Councillor Marie, that actually you may be blowing in the wind, but at least we're doing the right thing from a council perspective.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The question is about the number of votes that each council should have.
Councillors can vote for themselves.
It's up to you. You've done both options, so it's completely whichever you think
Are you able
is.
to record if we've got 4 votes? Be able to record them all. So it just means it's for logging is the key thing, so we don't get confused again.
Exactly.
One vote.
I think
Mr. Burnish,
One
I
vote.
think surely if there's 2 vacancies, we only need 2 councillors.
Now, there's what would take.
Why would nominate 4 when there's only 2 vacancies?
There isn't necessarily only 2 vacancies. The problem, Councillor Franklin, is that we've got a lot of differing opinions about where we are with the SUC. So we should go on the front foot and just state our case and let's see what response we get. If not, we're trying ourselves to unpick a web. Let's just be simple. Let's present our view in terms of the number of candidates that we want to put forward.
Taking up on Councillor Franklin's point there, if we nominate 4, maybe we should choose the first 2 to go
high
on.
scores. Yeah, even high scores. Okay. So 1 vote per councillor. We're looking for 4 councillors, and if there are any ties, then we'll rerun it for all people to vote, and you can vote for yourself. Is that okay?
When you said 1 vote.
1 vote from each councillor from any of the names on here, rather than 4 votes.
Okay, so each one has to vote for 1 of these 6, 1 from 6.
The trouble is, if you get 15 votes, then there's no more votes.
I think if you just try
No,
with
the
asking
limit-
people
if
who
you
they're
limit it to 4
supporting.
votes.
Okay,
And if-
just means
yeah.
you need to record it. 4 votes.
Just record 4 votes.
Okay, right.
Yeah, that's, can I also just make a note of the voting as well?
So just to rerun
Just give me
it,
a sec.
in agreement with the town clerk, we're all going to have 4 votes each. We can vote for ourselves, and hopefully that will give us a clear result. Any ties that don't achieve 4 names, then we'll have to rerun for those that tie. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And I'll do it in alphabetical order. At least that's simple.
Presumably we don't have to use all 4 of
You
them.
do not
You don't have to.
use all 4. No, no. Are you okay, Councillor Breen, to start?
I'm just making a note.
And when I come to each name, up to 1 minute. You can talk why you might think you're the best or a suitable candidate. So there's some capacity to put forward why you think you might be suitable. Okay. Yes. So the first candidate is Councillor D. Carter. Do you want to say any words just for a few seconds?
Yes, a few words. Yes. I currently do look after 5 person in those almhouses. I do their sort of weekly shopping, visiting them. I think more on behalf of volunteering for the age concern. So they call me if they need me, essentially. And I feel I have worked my current one of my part-time job. I'm looking after almhouses, about 52 properties. So I'm that office manager for them, but on part-time basis. Just so I've got a lot of interest looking after elderly people in this community.
Thank you very much. Short and succinct. Would anybody like to vote for Councillor D. Carter?
Councillor P. Carter. Councillor D. Marie.
Jeff, have you got your card, kids?
Oh, you didn't check it out?
That's
right.
Lynn Ripley, Nick Gray, Sam We've got Mark Morehouse, Simon Norris. Is that it? Sorry, could everyone hold their cards again, please? I just want to count, I've got enough people.
Are you voting for
Councillor D. Carter?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that what you have, Councillor?
You were voting for Nick? No.
Oh, I've only got 8. Who have I missed? Councillor. Sorry, could you hold your cards
Could you
again?
show again, please?
Becky Tomlin.
There are 9.
9, isn't it?
Is it 9?
Oh, you're voting for yourself?
Yes. Oh, Dean Marie. I've got Dean Marie. Ian Ripley. Still big 1, 2, 3, 4, 8.
And 9.
Oh, yes. No. Yeah, no, I've got Councillor Paul Carter.
No, D. D.
Yeah,
myself.
I've got
Daniela.
Keith
Oh,
Carter there.
okay. Right. Can you show them again, please?
Oh,
Read
see if I
them
see
out.
somebody.
Councillor Morehouse.
Yes.
Councillor Gray.
Yes.
Councillor Mallet.
Yes.
Councillor Tomlins. Councillor Ripley. Councillor Marie. Councillor Franklin. The 2 Councillor Carters.
Total of 9.
Jeff Franklin, that's sorry. Thank you very much.
Councillor. No, on CS. Alphabetical order.
Yes.
Councillor P. Carter.
Good evening. I guess from my point of view, I've spent the last 2 years as the mayor, so I've built up very strong friendships with the events that take place there at both Christmas and Easter, and more importantly, as any previous mayor will know, about the actual bun run ceremony as well. So I know quite a few of the inhabitants by name for the matters there. Also, over the past 2 years, when they've had a number of issues, they've actually reported their issues to me via their chair, and I've actually picked up on issues to do with roads and drainage and the trees along the front as well that regularly come down and things like that. So I've undertaken a large number of services to make sure that the elderly, a lot of people don't know that the area where all the trees are, the leaves fall down, and neither Dover District Council or Kent County Council can be bothered to sweep the leaves up, and you've got very elderly people trying to get in and out there as well. So I've undertaken quite a lot of liaison with the inhabitants of the of the St Bart's there. I'll also occasionally go to the chapel there. It's quite an early start, but they have a very nice service there, so I know their chaplain very well. So I feel, all in all, I know quite a large number of people there by their first name. So if I was voted in, I would be on a head start to actually work with the people there. So
thank you, Councillor Carter. Any votes for Councillor P. Carter?
Can I vote for myself?
Yeah. So that is councillors D. Carter, P. Carter, Jeff Franklin, Dean Marie.
Sorry, didn't know you voted.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nick Brown and Ian Black and Councillor Colin Wise. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in total. Is that correct? Sorry, I didn't have a tally. Sorry, would you mind holding your cards as we count? Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes.
Seven, too.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, so myself, I'm number 3 on the list. So my interest is very much from, this was an issue that came across the doorstep with myself and Councillor Breen when we were canvassing for the election, and a number of concerns were raised with us by more than one resident regards the charity. I spent a lot of time with Councillor Gray investigating the circumstances around the charity. So some of the work in terms of the challenges came from myself and Councillor Gray. Governance is my forte, and the key thing for me is actually being independent and outside the structure, but being resolute in terms of challenging anything in terms of the town council's perspective. So that's why I would be interested in it, rather than keeping the status quo as it is. So, strange question, but would anybody like to vote for me in terms of membership?
So you've got some yourself, yeah. Councillor Colin Wise, Councillor Peter Green, Councillor Mark Morehouse, Councillor Simon Mallet, Vicky Tollins, Karen Angerson, Martin Pennington,
Thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11. Sorry, would everyone mind just holding their cards in the air? So thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11. Do you agree that?
Include me as well?
I did.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm just checking with Councillor Breen. Yes, agree. 11.
11, correct.
Thank
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Mallet.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Long-term Sandwich resident, as I didn't say that, I think. You know that. I must admit, I don't know that much about the Sandwich House charity, more than I've been able to pick up by reading about it. I know there's a lot of confrontational comments that come out, and I've avoided them. I know the people, or I say many, some of those who are already representatives on as trustees, and I count some of them as friends, some of them as just acquaintances. I think my general approach is non-confrontational, is to talk, listen, and understand, and I tend towards slow and considered change where change is necessary. So I think as a representative from the council, while I wouldn't be going into action straight away, I think I can potentially have some influence eventually, because I think that having too much influence straight away, you put people's backs up, because clearly it is well established, well entrenched, and one has to have a light touch. Thank you.
Okay. Votes for Councillor Mallet.
Peter Green, Morehouse, Anderson, Martin Pennington, Montesquieu, King, That's it. So it's 1, 2, 3, 12. Make that. Sorry, would you mind holding your cards? Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. I'll make that 12, Councillor Broom.
Agreed. Okay. Councillor Marie?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. After speaking to a couple of the colleagues here just a minute ago, I'm going to withdraw my name from the race. I do feel it's the right thing to do, considering I'm so close to quite a few of the trustees there. It would be unfair for me to be there. I feel it would be a bit biased, so I'm going to withdraw my name.
That's appreciated. Thank you very much. Councillor Anderson?
Yes, I think this council is to be congratulated on having so many good candidates. I do think this is important. I think the workings of Sandwich United Charity are a bit mysterious, to put it mildly. And I would like to get involved in making their activities much more transparent. And I should add that some of you may know that I have been in my retirement, which is now been 20 years, and that's how long I've lived in Sandwich, the chair of a really quite large voluntary organisation. On retirement, I was appointed to be chair of a voluntary organisation located in Bermondsey in South East London called Bede House Association, which it's not a housing association, it's a settlement, and it delivers services which Southwark Borough Council was really not interested in developing because they were so edgy. The House Association, when I was chair, and I was chair for 6 years, delivered youth services dealing with victims of domestic violence, services for people with learning disabilities, and general community development projects. And it had a turnover while I was chair of about 1.5 million a year. So I am quite used to engaging with the voluntary sector. I was chair for 6 years, and then I was a trustee for further 2. And I decided that I never had anything really very substantial to offer, and that's why I withdrew. I've also been a trustee of a large funding charity, British Salon Trust, which, given that it funds projects on the West Bank and in Gaza, is continuously encountering charity commission. They're always reading down the necks to find out what we're up to, and we always pass their tests. So I would like to, and as you all know, I'm a trustee of the Jubilee Centre now, so I would like to get engaged with this charity. I do feel that my experience in these 2 other connections would be useful.
Thank you. Votes for Councillor Anderson?
I'll make that 12. Can I just double check please?
12.
1, 2, 3, 4. It is, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just relying on Councillor Broom has been voted in 4 times. That's why I wanted to.
Nobody has voted. I can give you Danielle Carter voted twice, Paul Carter twice, Suka 3 times, Jeff Franklin twice, Dean Marie 4, Lynn Ripley 4, William Fortescue 3, Martin Pennington 3, Claire Anderson 3, Vicky Tomlins 3, Simon Mallet 4, Nick Gray 3, Mark Moorhouse 4, myself 3 times, Councillor Wiles 4 times, Councillor Black 4 times.
I only voted 3. Sorry, I only voted 3 times.
I voted for.
Yeah, I was going to say you've,
No, I was trying to know exactly what I voted for.
What's the result, Mr Mayor? That's what I want to know.
Sorry, just you calm down, it's talking shop.
I did.
He's
No, I
just he's
did
going
not
to
vote
relay
for
his three.
I voted for Paul, for Simon and Claire. I didn't vote, so I've only had 3 votes.
4. Councillor Thomas did vote 4 times.
Yeah.
You didn't know anything
My
else?
votes.
Sorry?
Do you want me to repeat my vote?
No, yes, please.
For, it was Derek, Simon, Claire and Daniel.
Emmett? Oh, right, okay, sorry. It's still 11.
We're good.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we have got 4 names that have scored above the remainder. They are
Councillor Daniel Carter, Councillor Emmett Chuka, Councillor Simon Mallet and Councillor Claire Ungerson.
okay, and on the basis that Councillor Simon Mallet and Councillor Claire Ungerson scored 12 each, which was the highest, they're the 2 names that will volunteer with the 4 names put forward. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. We have one more agenda item. Do we want 5-minute break?
Yeah, I was going to say this because it's a bigger
It is a big one, so we'll take
5 minutes, please.
Yeah, 5 minutes, please.
Yeah, I know.
We are still live.
I've only been here 14, but no, seriously, Julian said that we could open it I just want to give a summary and then do any questions. Yeah, I've got nothing really. No.
Well, they're little meetings up there, they can't. Fantastic.
You waited long enough. Hopefully.
Personal opinion, we need to think of a voting strategy for us, guys.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
We should be a bit more like BBC.
The problem is, I suppose some
big
subjects have different requirements. But no, I think definitely when we talk not necessarily the voting.
Yeah. This is it. And I'm happy to be honest. I want the right thing to do.
The problem is, we've got strong opinions.
And I was just relaying what I know and what I've been told. So, I'd say so. It's just, and we've just wasted 40 minutes.
Reconvene. Necessary.
Right. Got the keys anyway. Thank you.
Is this a lock-in, is it?
Yes. No.
Where's the wedding?
I've got work at 5 in the morning.
Right, okay, if we can move on to agenda item 20, the final one of tonight, which is attachment 21, Fishergate update report. This was discussed at F&GP last week, so I've asked the property manager just to give a very quick overview and to explain why we've got it here today. So we can take that away, Julian.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So as Mr. Mayor said, we discussed it in detail last week. Just quickly run through this with you, and then I will take obviously any questions. So first of all, just to say, the hybrid model was always my way of looking at this property. And one of the reasons why I didn't actually touch upon last time, but I will mention it now, is Historic England will want us to enter into a management agreement with them for the ongoing maintenance of that property. Now, what does that mean to us? Well, what it means is that we've got to be able to get access in there to do work without causing any disruption to tenants that are in there. So the hybrid model gives us that flexibility, okay? The reason why I looked at holiday lets, and I believe it was Councillor Black that said, fine, talking about how much income, but what is the actual profit?
Yeah, profit.
Yeah, which is obviously, but what is the bottom line? So I did my research, spent months on this, weeks maybe, and yeah, the holiday let option doesn't work. Okay, that is what I've concluded. So I say I haven't, I wanted it to work. I did want it to work. It didn't work. So I've looked at the other options. I want the hybrid model. I believe, and I'm sure you will support me in this, that the Maritime Museum with accommodation, say, with extra space on the second floor that we can use to generate some additional income is the way forward with this. But there are still steps that we have to do, because we're still not sure of what this is going to cost, let alone where we're going to get the money from. So grant funding, I've looked at it. It's an ongoing, it's still live. I'm still dealing with it, but they want an answer. They want to know, what are you going to do with the property? They don't want holiday lets, of course they don't. They actually want to know what we're going to do, what we can bring to the table. So that's where I'm at. We're going to have to do some exploration work there and really get down, deep dive, I think is the saying, into what we're going to need to do at the property. Where we can actually, there's no point me saying, yes, it's going to need this, it's going to need that. Let's actually look at it. So we've got to do that. The other point I was going to make is I want this to be a community project where members of the community can come together. And I can lead that with, and I think it'd be very exciting. So I think that's where we're at. I think we got to the stage last Wednesday where I think that people were agreeing with me. There was one sort of final point, which was where I was looking at making some extra money. We're looking at, using that address for companies and organisations and charities that they can use as their address as a sort of a monthly fee. But I will come back to that at another point when I've actually got the data. So that's it. I'm obviously, any questions that people have, if their surname ends with a U. Yes.
Yes, I do have a question, because I very strongly support what you're suggesting, this hybrid model. But I did wonder whether you had got any information on what the take-up might be, just supposing we tried to run it as a holiday let. Because, what I feel is absent is any market research at all. And my gut is that actually the demand to stay in the fishery would be very limited. It's not suitable for older people, I speak as one. It's not suitable for families. And it's, I know that Councillor Wiles often talks about landmark trusts. We've stayed in landmark trust properties. They're not located in the middle of a town overlooking a car park. They're quirky, admittedly, but they're often in the middle of nowhere, which is in itself a problem. You drive down rutted lanes and all the rest, but you get somewhere which is beautiful. And I just don't think this would work. That's my gut, but I just wondered if there was any market research.
Plenty of market research. The document there where I've actually looked at it, and that's what I've actually come to that same conclusion. There is a limited appeal. Bear in mind, I was looking at doing the 3 nights rather than a week. I think 3 nights would work better than a whole week. But even so, with the 3-night model, it didn't work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we've discussed this in great detail at F&GP. It's been here 3 times. I would like to propose that all 3 recommendations are accepted. Thank you very much.
I'll second that.
Can I just ask that we're absolutely clear of the monetary impact that we're talking about here, because the proposals are for expenditure on exploratory work of about £7,000. Am I right, Julian?
My recommendations are, it doesn't mention that in this, within my 3 points.
So can you clarify, so in terms of, I understand this is moving to the next stage of reviewing it as you know, its future. It's not about
Yes.
delivering the future, it's about the next stage.
Yes.
Is there a financial impact for the council to do
Yes.
what you're asking? And what is
With
it?
exploration work, it will be, again, if it's a community project, it would be less money, but we are still looking in the region of £7,000.
And have we got the budget available and allocated for that to be undertaken?
No.
Should be grant. Mr Mayor, I know I've declared an interest, but there should be grants available for doing all these work, English heritage, everything. I don't, which is applied for any yet, but even for the research, you know, looking at the structure, there should be grants available for it.
May I just respond on that point? Without us telling them what we're going to do, they're not going to lend, we can't go down that road. So as soon as we can tell them, there are other options that could be available to us. But exactly, Councillor Franklin, yes, but once we know what we're doing, then we can actually then go and look at the grants. But yeah, that's exactly that.
So what I would ask is, picking up on Councillor Green's point, I don't think, because if there isn't a financial commitment made in this, this has to be presented specifically around that. But that doesn't stop us voting on these three this evening, I would suggest. So we need to clarify that point, Councillor Green.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And in terms of getting some drawings done, which I think you would need to support applications and so forth, you know, that comes with a cost, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, but we've actually got a lot of the drawings already.
Right.
So we're using sort of some versions of what was done before. So the actual cost, I need 2 elevation drawings, is £850.
So Councillor Wiles.
So when this was discussed at FGP, I made the point that I thought, I've spoken to Julian about this, so he knows my views. I think the occupancy levels are pessimistic. So it's 75 days a year, which is 20% of the year, 1/5 of the year occupied. And the costs are pessimistic as well. So I think the holiday option is possibly still an option. And in response to Councillor Anderson, the Landmark Trust owns the Pugin building in Ramsgate, which is right in the town. And it received National Heritage Lottery funding for that. So there is the possibility of funding for this property. And that also has a spiral staircase up to the tower. But at the end of the day, to some extent, I don't care whether it's holiday lets or a museum or that we sell it. We just need to make a decision to get on with this property because it's been standing empty for much too long. And we need to crack on with this. As long as there's an agreement with the Heritage Trust and we can come to agreement about them meeting running costs and other things, occupancy and making it available to the public, then I'm happy to go along with that option.
I raised this before. I went for the museum option, and having explained how it might work to get the disabled person up the stairs and down the stairs, I have very grave reservations that that's going to work, and that the fire service would be happy. They're the experts, but I would be surprised. I've had to use these things, and I've been trained in the use of them. Even with a mechanical one, I have great doubts. Which, sorry to pour cold water on you.
Thank you. So, going back to Councillor Green's point, we do not have the money available to do this work at the moment. We have £3,000 approximately left in our budget available unallocated. I can't see how we can vote for potentially 7,000 or something more without clear recommendations in terms of costs around this work. That's my personal view, and we'll come back to that, Councillor.
Oh yeah, thank you. And as we said at F&GP, until we have a purpose for the building, we can't apply for the grant, so we won't know if we'll get the money. So once we've voted tonight, the property manager can then apply for the grant, and then we can go ahead. We don't need to know about the technicalities of whether we need stair lifts or chair lifts. We don't need to know about holiday lets or anything like that. F&GP have done this. If you trusted your fellow councillors and these officers, like I do, this is a very simple decision. It's a very simple decision. Somebody here has put in an extraordinary amount of effort and time to get this through, And all he's asking for is the recommendation on the usage. It's just the usage. We don't need to know what door handles we're having or what windows, the usage. The proposal's there, I've put that forward and it's up to the
Yeah,
chair.
I agree, but it's without a financial commitment from our budget as it
Indeed,
stands.
that is
And that's
correct.
the point we
Yeah,
made
that
on.
I'd accept that amendment.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It needs to be made clear then that we agree this in principle. So we agree this in principle, and if we can't get the funding, it comes back to the table. That's simple.
Agreed. Okay, so can we go to a vote on that? If we've all clarified that.
Sorry, but do you need the £850 to be able to get the other drawings done to apply for the funding, Julie? You need the £850.
Thank you, councillor Green.
Yes. Yeah, well, we can do that
Okay.
under delegated powers.
Yes, okay, so just to clarify, we've got 3 recommendations in front of us. We are committing £850
Exactly.
or thereabouts to support you in relation to
That's
the ability to make grant applications.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
So on that
It's-
basis, we can go through the 3 recommendations. First is the future use of Fishgate is a hybrid model that would include a maritime museum and visitor centre on the first floor and space to hire out on the second floor. Councillor Carter's already proposed it. Somebody have to second it. Councillor Pennington, if we go to the vote on that. 1 abstention.
2 abstentions.
2 abstentions, apologies. Second one is that the property manager can work with Sandwich Heritage Harbour CIO to finalise a joint venture arrangement which would be brought back to the councils for their final decision. So again, that's about principal agreement to engage. Proposed.
I'll second.
Councillor Angerson, thank you. And a vote.
Can we vote again?
So you're voting yes, that's it.
Yeah.
That's unanimous. Yep. Finally, Fishergate could also be used as a postal address, registered address for companies, organisations and charities, and the property manager has always said he's going to investigate that.
Yes.
So this is again about principal agreement, research required, seeking support to explore this as an opportunity. Proposed. I'll second. And we're all supporting except for 1 abstention.
1 abstention.
Thank you. Right, apologies, it's 20 to 10, but we're finished. Agenda item 21, date of next full town council meeting, 29th of September 2025, unless we need to call an extraordinary meeting in between. Thank you very much and good night.
So I just go straight. There's 5 visits.
Yeah, okay, give it to him. You pass some Peter Senior, yeah? Could you put this up in the car? You can, oh, thank you very much. No time for you.
That was great. Meetings.
Yeah.